Alright, let's dive in. Meet our main man, Ren, a fourth-year university student whose life philosophy is basically sleep is optional, but gaming is mandatory, and right now this absolute unit is on top of the world. He's just conquered the latest fantasy RPG and his victory cry could probably shatter glass. Our boy is absolutely buzzing, thinking he might have just set a new world record speedrun. I mean, the guy deliberately ghosted all his real-world responsibilities, locked himself in his room, and mainlined this game for days straight. A true hero of our time. The game in question is The Legend of the Seven Heroes Zoo, and it's your classic fantasy epic. School setting, descendants of legendary heroes, and a big bad demon king to beat down. You know the drill. It's a worldwide phenomenon, the kind of game everyone and their grandma is playing. But here's where things get spicy. The story takes a ridiculously dark turn when the hero's best friend just straight up murders the saint. The game ends on a massive cliffhanger, with the emperor ordering the protagonist to hunt down his former bestie. A perfect setup for part 3. Naturally, our hero hits the forums to see what the internet detectives are cooking up. The consensus. The shady best friend is totally the mastermind and the final boss for the sequel. But just as he's basking in the post-game glow, a bizarre pop-up materializes on screen. Do you wish to start the special story with the demon sword summoning skill? This guy is completely bewildered. Demon sword summoning? That skill wasn't in any of the game guides. But does that stop him? Of course not. He smashes that yes button without a second thought. Instantly, his vision whites out. He's hit by a wave of dizziness, and his body feels like a wet noodle. He can't summon an ounce of strength. He starts hearing voices. 2 women talking about a young master who is brimming with energy. He feels hands all over him, and he's being splashed with water. Total panic mode is engaged. One of the voices hopes he'll grow up well. The horrifying reality snaps into focus. Our unsuspecting lead is now a literal baby, getting a bath in a wooden tub. He can't move properly, can't see, and is having a full-blown existential crisis while someone scrubs his back. This is definitely not a dream. Suddenly, the memory of that weird pop-up flashes in his mind. The special story. The demon sword skill. It can't be. He tries to rationalize it. This has to be kind of fantasy trope, but it's supposed to be impossible. And then the soul-crushing truth slams into him with the force of a freight train. He's been transmigrated. He got isekai'd. As if on cue, his new mom and a maid are cooing over him, officially naming him Len Ashton. Len. The name echoes in his tiny baby brain, and that's when his entire world shatters. Len is the name of the traitorous best friend from the game. The guy who betrays the main lead and kicks off all the chaos. He hasn't been reborn as the hero. He's been reborn as the story's future arch-villain, the prime suspect for being the ultimate mastermind. His new life flashes before his eyes, a highlight reel of him leading armies of darkness and standing as the symbol of the world's impending doom. Our boy didn't just get isekai'd, he got isekai'd into super hard mode as the final boss. This is gonna be rough. Alright, let's dive into another day of intense, child labor-esque sword training. Our boy is giving it his all, but his dad is a seasoned pro who is not impressed by his son's wild flailing. He effortlessly parries and sends our hero flying with a casual toss. Dad's like, don't just jump around, you're leaving yourself wide open, ya rookie. Training finally ends, and our main man is completely gassed, face down in the dirt. His dad, on the other hand, is looking pretty pleased, saying the kid did well for a 7-year-old. Our hero's internal monologue is just, I can't move my body. Yeah, sounds about right. 7 years have passed since this guy got yeeted into a new world. He's in some backwater village in the Magus Empire, a place so unimportant it doesn't even have a name on the map. We see his cozy little home, a far cry from the concrete jungle he used to know. And let me tell you, the transition was not smooth. At first, he was a baby in total denial. I mean, who wouldn't be? But after half a year of being a professional pooping and crying machine, you kinda just have to accept your new reality. Of course, he's been hiding a little secret from his new parents. Like any good isekai protagonist, this absolute unit has a status screen. He's acquired the ridiculously edgy skill, demon sword summoning. Unlike the game he remembers, his personal stats like strength and magic are all question marks, which feels a bit more realistic and way more terrifying. He's pretty sure he never heard of this specific skill in the game, which can only mean one thing: it's a unique skill, the rarest of the rare, something only HE can use. So he gives it a whirl. Summons the most adorable non-threatening wooden sword you've ever seen. It's basically a glorified twig. He figures out the mechanics. Using the sword raises proficiency, which will eventually unlock new, cooler swords like the demon sword of metal. The catch? Summoning it gives him a splitting headache from magic power drain. If he overdoes it, he could pass out. So, the daily grind is officially on. Suddenly, Dad walks in, and our hero has to instantly despawn his little wooden secret. That was way too close. Realizing he has this game-like power means the world AS connected to the game, and the apocalyptic future he played through might actually happen. To protect himself and his new fam, he has no choice but to get strong. Fast forward, and our boy is now 7. Dad comes home from a hunt and announces it's time for some real sword practice. This guy is absolutely vibrating with excitement. Dad just smirks and tells him to come at him with everything he's got. "Oh, I will," our hero thinks as he sneakily summons his wooden demon sword, now with a cute little sprout growing on it. He charges forward with a battle cry. Dad seems impressed, telling him to keep attacking until his body gives out. Accepted. But his 7-year-old body has the stamina of a wet noodle and he collapses after less than 30 minutes. Still, Dad says he did great for a first-timer. After his old man leaves, he checks his stats. Proficiency is up by 2 points. Let's go. And so his new life begins, studying in the morning, getting wrecked by his dad in the afternoon. He also learns that he can't cheat the system by using demon stones from monsters his dad hunted. Nope. This world isn't letting him take any shortcuts. He has to earn every single point of EXP himself. Another month flies by. The continues. He clashes swords with his dad, clearly getting faster and more skilled. Dad acknowledges his movement has improved, but immediately trolls him. "You lose your balance too easily," he says, but sweeping his leg and sending our hopeless hero tumbling through the air. Talk about tough love. Even after eating dirt, this kid wants to keep going. But Dad calls it a day, wisely telling him not to push himself to injury. Our boy thanks him, completely exhausted but determined. Later, he checks his progress. 88 out of 100. He's just a few days away from a level up. The grind of only getting 2 points a day is brutal, but from his gamer perspective, it just makes the reward feel that much better. That evening, his mom tends to his blistered hands. She's worried he's pushing himself too hard, calling his dad a sports maniac. She admits that while she respects the Ashton family's duty to protect the village, she doesn't hate swords, she fears them. She remembers her husband as a courageous warrior who wasn't afraid of anything, a hero who saved people numerous times. But her greatest fear is that one day, that same bravery will become a curse and get him seriously hurt. Just then, Dad walks in, having brought home a massive boar for dinner. He overhears their conversation and immediately flexes on them. "Don't worry, I'm strong," he says with a grin. He promises he won't be as careless as he was in the past, because his family's happiness is more important to him than anything else. Later that night, our boy lies in bed, thinking about the word family. This triggers a flashback to his bleak past life in the city. His parents divorced, and he lived with a mother who was never around. Their conversations dwindled to nothing until one day she just stopped coming home at all. It was a lonely, empty existence. He contrasts that cold past with his vibrant present. The grueling training, the simple chores, reading with his family, eating dinner together every day feels more fulfilling than his entire previous life. Back on the training field, he gets knocked down yet again. But as he gets up, something feels different. Dad asks him what's wrong, and our hero is bewildered. "Madi, it feels lighter?" Without another word, he bolts forward like a lightning strike. His dad's eyes go wide in shock. He barely gets his sword up in time to block the ridiculously fast attack. One more time. Dad yells, and our boy charges again, feeling a surge of power coursing through him. His speed and strength are off the charts as he unleashes a flurry of strikes. His dad is completely losing his mind. What just happened? He suddenly got stronger. Our hero leaps into the air for a final, devastating blow that shatters his dad's wooden sword. The old man is sent flying, his mind completely blown. But instead of being angry, he's ecstatic. He catches his son midair, lifting him up like a trophy. "Great job, Len. I can't believe you're a skill bearer." His mom shows up, wondering what all the yelling is about. Dad is cackling, spinning his kid around, guessing his skill must have leveled up from all the hard training. And he's right. A notification pops up for our boy. Demon Sword Summoning is now level 2, activating the passive skill physical ability up small. The grind finally paid off with a stat boost. Dad immediately starts dreaming big, talking about sending Len to the capital to become a famous knight. But our hero shuts that down immediately. "I don't think there's any need to have it checked." His parents are stunned. What kid wouldn't be excited about a new skill? But this guy is playing 4D chess. He knows revealing a skill called Demon Sword Summoning would be a massive headache. He lays out his true ambition. He wants to live peacefully in the village and become his father's successor. They can hunt together, help the village prosper, and most importantly, he'll be strong enough to protect his family if the worst happens. His mom is tearing up. Our main man thinks about how the past 7 years have been the happiest he's ever been, all thanks to them. He's no longer that lonely person from the past. He's Len Ashton now, and all he wants, for the three of them to live a long life together. His parents pull him into a huge hug, calling him a brat but clearly overwhelmed with emotion. For our hero, this is his second playthrough, and this time, he's going to protect his family no matter what, because he knows what's coming. He's doing all of this to prevent the future of despair from the game, a future where he's destined to meet a certain girl, the one that he is supposed to kill. We get a flash of this chaotic destiny, a girl with a sword, a towering city, and a roaring crowd. But for now, our hero knows nothing of this. He's just a kid, enjoying a picnic with the family he's sworn to save. Alright, let's dive in. We open on a seemingly peaceful day in a castle garden, where a young lady is having a major existential crisis. A big, burly knight walks up asking if she's okay. She just sighs. Nah, I'm just bored now that training is over. The knight, Vios, looks over at his men, who are all completely obliterated on the ground, and says, I see. It seems my men are no longer qualified to be your sword practice partner. Yeah, no kidding, my guy. This girl just soloed your entire squad and her biggest problem is boredom. What an absolute unit. She then notices Vios is geared up for a serious mission. He explains that he's been ordered to patrol the Northwest Territory, which she finds pretty suspicious for a knight of his caliber. Vios confirms her fears. A seriously troublesome beast has appeared, and he's on monster-slaying duty. Cut to a completely different scene, where our boy Len is living his best, most peaceful farm life. It's been 3 whole years since he last leveled up his ridiculously overpowered sound job. Demon Sword Summoning. His main skill is now level 2, which lets him summon a demon sword of wood. Okay, maybe not that overpowered yet. He checks his stats and sighs, feeling like his growth has totally stalled out. I mean, can you blame him? He's been busy with farm work and prepping for winter. Not exactly prime time for grinding EXP. Plus, a short training session only nets him a measly 1 proficiency point. But our main man isn't worried. He tells a nice old lady that he's got more than enough power to live peacefully right here. She just laughs and says his dad was boasting about him becoming a great knight in the capital. Our hopeless hero is like, yeah, hard pass on that. Suddenly, a squad of knights appears on the horizon. The old lady's chill immediately evaporates. She recognizes them as the Lord Baron's men and tells Len they need to get home, like, yesterday. And look who it is. The head knight is none other than Vios, the same guy from the garden. Len's dad, Roy, greets the knights warmly. Our boy watches from the fence, realizing these are some high-level dudes. Turns out, his dad is also a knight, tasked with protecting this very village. Vios gets straight to business, showing Roy a report. The news is grim. A beast has been causing massive damage in nearby villages, and there have already been casualties. The knights want Roy to join the vigilance team to hunt this thing down. Roy, ever the professional, asks for the beast's rank. Vios explains the guild's ranking system, and drops the bombshell. It's a D-rank beast, a monster that even an average knight stands no chance against. Roy's soul just about leaves his body. The strongest monsters around here are usually F-rank wimps. To make matters worse, Vios explains that due to the huge area they have to cover, reinforcements won't arrive for another 20 days. The family is understandably freaking out, but Vios promises to keep a close eye on the forest. Len, trying to be a good host, offers him a place to rest, all while secretly trying to tap into his past life game knowledge to identify this unhinged creature. Vios accepts the offer and points to our unsuspecting lead, asking if that's Roy's son. Roy proudly introduces Vios as the captain of the knights, the top dog in the entire territory. Len is suitably impressed. The knights take a quick break, sharing a drink with the villagers before heading out. As they ride off, one of the knights notes that Len is a skill bearer. Vios looks back with a worried expression, hoping the kid stays safe until this whole mess is over. Later, Roy is all fired up for the hunt. Len asks about the beast, but his dad just flexes, telling him not to worry. Apparently Roy once hunted a D-rank beast all by himself. This guy is completely bewildered. His dad isn't just strong, he's stronger than 5 knights combined. No wonder he could never win a sparring match. Roy's grand strategy: starve the beast out. He starts a massive hunting campaign, bringing back piles of boars. Len quickly pieces it together. If they eliminate the beast's food source, it'll have no reason to come near their village. A simple, but brilliant plan. Len notices his dad is pushing himself to the absolute limit, hunting from afternoon till sunset every single day. While taking a bath, Len worries that his dad is overworking himself. Just then, Pops joins him, looking absolutely exhausted. Roy apologizes for not being able to help with training, since he and Len's mom are swamped processing all the meat. This peaceful family life is exactly what Len wants to protect. His dad is so tired he literally falls asleep in the tub. Agonizing days pass. One night, Len realizes his dad still hasn't returned. His mom decides to go look for him, but Len isn't about to let her go alone. She argues it's too dangerous, but he stands his ground. He's going, and that's final. His mother looks at him with a deep-seated fear she's carried for years. Armed with a single torch, they venture into the pitch-black night. They reach a bridge marking the entrance to the forest, the official start of beast territory, and then they see him. Across the bridge, slumped against a tree, is his father. He looks pale and utterly broken. For a split second, there's relief, but Len's eyes widen in horror. Something is terribly, terribly wrong. His mother, blinded by panic, bolts across the bridge, screaming for her husband. As she gets closer, the horrifying truth is revealed. His dad is covered in blood. A massive, gruesome wound stains his entire torso. He's gasping for air, and in that moment of pure terror, all our hero can do is scream. Alright, let's dive right into the chaos. We open on a desperate family sprinting through a forest at night, and somebody is screaming for their dad. Our boy Len looks on as his father lies injured on the ground, the situation looking grim as hell. And the reason for all this panic? This absolute unit of a demon boar, who looks like it woke up on the wrong side of the apocalypse. The beast charges, and our main man barely gets his sword up in time to block. But this ain't your average woodland creature. It straight up chomps down on the steel like a chew toy, completely stopping Len in his tracks. The sheer force is ridiculous. The boar obliterates his defense, slamming our hero to the ground and pinning him. But even with a face full of angry pork, this guy has the guts to tell his mom to run for it. Just when you think it can't get any worse, guess what? It gets worse. 2 more boars pop out of the bushes, ready for round 2. The family is officially surrounded and completely screwed. But wait. A notification pops into our boy's head. He remembers he has a passive skill. Physical ability up small. He realizes he might just have the juice to push this thing off. Without a second thought, he flexes and yeets the demon pig into the air. The boar goes flying, and his mom's jaw hits the floor. Before he can even celebrate, another one barrels towards him from the side. Our unsuspecting lead snaps into action, swinging his axe with everything he's got. And boom. It's a one-hit KO. The boar is sent tumbling, totally neutralized. The swing was so unhinged it not only launched the monster, but also shattered his axe head clean off. Our boy just stares, completely bewildered by his own ridiculous power. Seeing one of their buddies get absolutely deleted is enough for the other 2 boars. They take one look at this guy and decide they are not getting paid enough for this. They bolt, and in that moment it clicks for Len. All that training, all those skills, he's actually strong now. He can fight. Flash forward to the next day. Back at the house, a kindly old woman has been tending to his father's wounds. Granny Rig lets them know the worst is over. His dad's condition is stable. You can feel the wave of relief from his mother. But our main man is already putting the pieces together. He knows those little boars couldn't have taken down his dad. No, his father must have run into a certain monster. A much bigger, nastier threat lurking in that same forest. And with reinforcements a whole 10 days away, if that thing wanders into the village, everyone is toast. Realizing he can't just sit around and wait, this guy decides there's something he has to do. He heads back to the forest and finds the boar corpses from last night. But as he gets closer, a strange wisp of energy floats out of the bodies and flies right into him. It gets sucked directly into the mysterious bracelet on his wrist. A status screen pops up, confirming his gamer theory. Demon Sword summoning technique is now level 2. He just absorbed the magic power from the monster's demon stone, gaining a massive proficiency boost. This changes everything. That night, he drags the monster carcasses home and gets real with his mom. He tells her straight up, "From tomorrow on, I'm taking over father's duty." She's obviously terrified, but he lays it all out. With his dad injured, he's the only one left in the village who can fight. He practically begs her, asking her to let him protect everyone until help arrives. The next morning, his mom gives in. She'll let him go on one condition: he has to be back before dusk. With her blessing, our hopeless hero heads into the forest for his first official day as the village protector. She gives him one last piece of advice: use the giant Tsurugi rock as a landmark and don't go too deep. This reminds him that he hasn't even tried the natural magic that comes with his demon sword of wood. He remembers a boss from the game that used similar powers. Just then, another little boar conveniently appears. Perfect timing for a test run. He points his sword and calls out, "Tree sprout. Come Ivy." Instantly, vines explode from the ground, wrapping around the boar and trapping it in a chaotic cage of leaves. Our boy's reaction is priceless. He's completely stunned by how awesome it is. The boar is totally immobilized but unharmed. He realizes this magic is perfect for crowd control, allowing him to capture monsters without a messy fight. And so, the grind begins. He starts practicing on every boar he sees. The local villagers can only stare in amazement. On his first day, this absolute unit drags back a massive, vine-wrapped ball of 12 boars. On the second day, he does it again. And by the third day, our main man is already increasing his numbers, becoming a legendary monster hunting machine. Alright, let's dive right in. The moon is high, the forest is dark, and a legendary beast is making its grand entrance. Meet the Chief Wolven, a D-rank monster that's basically a furry nightmare on 4 legs. Meanwhile, our boy is booking it through the woods, panting like he just ran a marathon he didn't sign up for. Suddenly, he feels a ridiculous presence behind him and skids to a halt. His danger senses are screaming, and for good reason. Before he can even process what's happening, a bus-sized wolf obliterates him from the side, sending him flying like a ragdoll. Our main man hits the dirt hard, realizing this thing is ludicrously fast. His internal monologue is just a single elegant word. Shit. This absolute unit circles him, and it's clear this ain't your average forest critter. This thing has a gimmick. The poor guy's soul practically leaves his body as he stares into the abyss. The wolven flexes by summoning a freaking tornado of razor-sharp leaves, instantly putting our hero on the defensive. He gets blasted back, eating dirt for the second time in less than a minute. And get this, the wolven's special power is using wind magic to create invisible hands to steal stuff. What a shady, unhinged ability for a giant wolf to have. Our unsuspecting lead immediately knows he is completely, utterly screwed. This is not a fight he's supposed to pick. He's desperately trying to cook up a winning strategy. But the wolf isn't exactly giving him a coffee break to think things over. He knows his nature magic is pretty weak, but his only shot is a high-risk play. Get in close and aim for the stomach. But just as he's bracing himself, his eyes catch something. The wolf pauses, almost like it knows he's spotted its secret. And there it is, a nasty wound on its leg. The gears in his head start turning. Did father, he wonders, connecting the dots to a previous fight. His eyes go wide with a sudden, dreadful realization. That wound is the whole reason this beast went berserk and attacked the village. It's also the only reason his dad managed to escape with his life. A new fire ignites in our hero's eyes. He thinks of his father, a knight who did his duty even when injured. That's all the motivation this guy needs. He's not backing down now. The wolven just growls, clearly unimpressed by this sudden burst of shonen protagonist energy. The beast powers up another chaotic wind attack, not giving him a moment to breathe. Thinking fast, our boy taps into his own power, calling on nature magic to summon a web of thorny vines from the ground. The plants erupt from the earth, a chaotic mess of green. The wolven lets out an angry roar as the vines begin to wrap around it. For a split second, the beast is immobilized, tangled in a thorny trap. This is his chance. He uses the opening to leap onto the monster's back, aiming for a critical hit. The high ground. He raises his wooden sword for a decisive strike, right for the weak spot. And the sword just snaps in half. Well, that's embarrassing. His magic bracelet begins to glow as the plan falls apart. He's completely bewildered. His one-of-a-kind magic sword of wood is now just a splintered stick. Realizing a counterattack is imminent, he desperately tries to re-summon his weapon. But it's no use. The broken sword shatters in his hand. Trying to summon a broken item is a terrible idea, and it starts draining his mana at an alarming rate. The feedback is pure agony. He's barely hanging on, vision blurring from the pain. The wolven starts to thrash, easily overpowering the weakening vines. Our main man is about to get bucked off this furry death machine. And there he goes! The wolf yeets him into a nearby tree with a vicious roar. He crashes to the ground, coughing up a storm. To add insult to injury, he's now tangled in his own vines, completely defenseless as the wolven stalks toward him. But instead of going for the kill, the beast does something bizarre. It starts gnawing on the roots of the tree, just straight up munching on some wood. Our hero feels his consciousness fading. He has a healing herb that could save him, but then he remembers his father, lying injured back home. He hesitates, clutching the precious herb. No, he decides, there might not be enough for father. He's choosing to tough it out. What an absolute unit. With his options dwindling, he frantically searches for another plan while the wolf enjoys its appetizer. His gaze falls back to his bracelet. An idea sparks. The wolven finishes its snack and turns its attention back to him with a menacing growl. It unleashes yet another devastating blast of wind, sending debris flying everywhere. Our boy gets tossed again, his body screaming in protest. He scrambles back to his feet, ignoring the pain as he makes a mad dash for something in the distance. Just stay put for a moment, he yells, as if the monster is going to politely listen. He uses the last dregs of his power to summon one more set of vines to stall it. His mana is on empty, but he keeps running. Right towards the corpses of the boars he defeated earlier. He needs to absorb their magic stones to level up his skill. His progress bar hits 97 out of 100. He's about to unlock the magic sword of metal. Behind him, the wolven roars, breaking free again. This is it. He's betting everything on this last-minute power-up. The vines snap like twigs. The beast is free, and it is pissed. It chomps through the last of its restraints with pure rage. With memories of his family fueling him, he slaps his hand down on a boar corpse, absorbing its energy. The bracelet on his arm erupts with light. There's no way I'm losing here, he roars, his spirit reignited. Ding! The system announces it. Demon Sword of Metal, unlocked. Just as the wolven lunges, jaws wide open, he summons his brand new weapon. This is the final, all-or-nothing showdown. The wolf commits to the bite, ready to end it. Our hero kneels, pouring every last drop of his power into this one. Single attack. We get a terrifying POV shot from inside the monster's mouth. Without a shred of fear, This guy thrusts the newly forged metal sword straight down its throat. The blade's power activates, unleashing a brilliant slash that tears through the beast from the inside out. With one wholehearted, unbelievably epic final attack, the chief wolven is defeated. Alright, let's dive right back into the chaos. When we last saw our boy, he was in a fight for his life, and it looks like he actually pulled it off. A massive pillar of light signals the end of the battle, and the chief wolven gets absolutely skewered, a magic sword pinning its giant carcass to the forest floor. GG, no re. Our main man Len is completely gassed, panting for dear life. He stares at his blade, realizing it's not just any sword, it's the magic sword of metal. And it's currently slurping up the magic stone from the defeated beast like a demonic smoothie. But the victory high wears off fast. This absolute unit is completely drained. His body has officially clocked out and won't move an inch. With his last bit of consciousness, all he can think about are his parents. Suddenly, the thunder of hooves echoes through the trees. A squad of knights, probably drawn by the unholy racket, spots the aftermath of the carnage. Their captain points. That's over there. They arrive to find a kid collapsed next to a monster that should have turned him into a fine red paste. Talk about a bewildered rescue party. Without wasting a second, the knights bolt back towards the village. They barge right into Len's house, yelling, "Is Anion here?" Like they're raiding the place. Len's mom is understandably startled, but the knight just cuts to the chase. No time for pleasantries, we're knights from Clausel. Get this kid to his room. Len's dad rushes out, sees his son battered and unconscious in the knight's arms, and his heart just plummets. The knight notices that even while passed out, our hopeless hero is desperately clutching his satchel. Curious, his mom opens it and finds rondo grass, the very herb she needed. The realization hits her like a truck. This guy risked everything for her. She breaks down, holding her son, who just soloed a D-rank monster to get his mom some medicine. What an absolute legend. News of this ridiculous feat travels fast. A messenger kneels before the lord of the territory, reporting the impossible. That boy, Len Ashton, he defeated the chief wolven on his own. The old man can't believe his ears. But sitting nearby, a certain noble girl's interest is officially piqued. A boy strong enough to single-handedly defeat a D-rank beast in her territory. Now that's intriguing. 2 months fly by. Our boy has been busy. His magic sword summoning skill has leveled up, and he's even unlocked the ability to rob items from whatever he attacks. This new power manifested a slick new weapon, the magic sword of Bandit, which is less of a sword and more of an unhinged fingerclaw thingy. Perfect for some light-fingered adventuring. But even with his newfound fame, this guy is still out here climbing cliffs to gather herbs like nothing happened. The local guards spot him and totally freak out. Lord Len, didn't we ask you to call us when you go into the forest? Our main man just apologizes. But the guards are seriously impressed by his physical prowess. Surviving that fight clearly gave him a stat boost. Len reveals his master plan. He wants to sell the valuable materials from the chief wolven to help the village with its taxes. The guard smiles. Way ahead of you. Turns out the lord is buying all the loot at a premium, and the reward for this year is a full-blown tax exemption. Our hero is ecstatic. This one act of insane bravery will ensure the village prospers for decades. Back at home, his dad is beaming with pride. I've heard you've achieved so much, Len, but our humble hero gives credit where it's due, saying he couldn't have done it without his father's help. When asked what he wants as a reward, Len points to a beautiful glowing orb. Please give me this beautiful stone, the Salacia Pearl. And while he's at it, he asks for the shady-looking bracelet too, now that he can wear it openly. His dad gives him a loving pat on the head, a classic, "You made me worry, you reckless idiot" gesture. But his pride is undeniable. Putting your life at stake to protect everyone, you've done well. You're awesome, Len. And with that, a long period of peace settles over the nameless village. Life becomes idyllic. Len helps around the farm, people do their laundry, and everything is calm. But as we all know, peace is just the loading screen for the next chaotic chapter. Our boy is minding his own business when he spots a girl sitting on a stone wall, looking completely out of place. He's bewildered. Who is she? She's not from this village. She turns, her eyes locking onto him, and asks a simple question that's about to complicate everything. Are you Len Ashton? She gives him a gentle, knowing smile. Our unsuspecting lead is stunned. He feels like he's seen her before, but can't place it. That's right, she says, her smile widening. This is the fateful encounter, and with that single moment, a brand new story kicks into high gear. The gears of fate have begun to move, and you just know things are about to get wild. Alright, let's dive right in. Our boy is just minding his own business when a mysterious girl straight out of a fantasy novel appears and asks for him by name. He's a bit bewildered but confirms, "Yes, I am Len, but..." And before he can finish, she just beams at him. With a sigh of pure relief, she says, "I've always wanted to meet you." Okay, a little weird, but maybe she's a fan. Before our main man can even process this, she whips out not one, but two swords with a flourish. She asks about his injuries and he's justifiably confused. They've healed, but how do you even know me? She completely dodges the question, flashes a shady grin, and says, in that case, let's begin. Begin what? Without a single ounce of warning, this girl launches herself at him like a human missile. The clash of steel echoes as our unsuspecting lead just barely manages to block the ridiculously fast attack. This is a full-on, unhinged assault, forcing two other guys to literally dive for their lives to avoid becoming collateral damage. And the best part? She's having the time of her life, cackling. You handle your sword well, despite having fallen behind. Our hero is just trying to survive, thinking, this girl's pretty skilled, but why is this happening? That's when he notices it. Her blade has been dulled. She's not trying to kill him, she's just trolling him with a practice sword. Realizing this whole chaotic encounter is just a game to her, this guy decides he's had enough. Well, this is troublesome, he thinks, and it's time to end it. In a slick move, he plants his foot and straight up trips her. He yeets her sword from her grasp, and in a flash has her pinned to the ground with his blade at her throat. I win. Absolute savage. But then he makes a critical error. He realizes their faces are mere inches apart. Our hero's brain completely short-circuits, and he scrambles back like he touched a hot stove, yelling, sorry. You're too close. This absolute unit, however, is completely unfazed. She just hops up and demands, one more time. Ready your sword. Our boy's soul has officially left chat. He has no clue what is going on anymore. Just then, a cavalry of knights comes thundering over the hill, shouting, Princess, that's enough. An old, grizzled knight who looks like he's seen it all rides up, clearly exhausted by these shenanigans. The princess just casually dusts herself off. She then presents a formal letter with a fancy wax seal, explaining her dad sent her. Apparently, her father, the big boss, was super impressed by the Ashton family's recent triumph. She introduces herself as Lycia Clausel, the one and only saintess of white. And in that instant, our main man's entire world shatters. A memory, or maybe a vision, flashes through his mind, him in a dark uniform, holding a lifeless Lycia in his arms. The old knight is still lecturing her about running off alone without any guards, but our hopeless hero is having a full-blown existential meltdown. He realizes with pure horror, she's the same girl, the one I'm supposed to kill in the story. So why is his primary assassination target standing right here, challenging him to a friendly duel? Next thing we know, they're all sitting down for a very, very awkward tea time. Our boy is just trying to reboot his brain and figure out how his quiet, low-key life just got hit by a plot-driven freight train. His inner monologue goes into overdrive. Lycia Clausel, the Saintess of White, a major character from the game, The Legend of the Seven Heroes. She's a fan favorite and a powerhouse, but famously, an unromanceable NPC. Lycia sips her tea and explains, I personally came here to see the abilities of the person who defeated the Chief Wolven. Your decision to pick up your sword without hesitation convinced me of your courage. This guy is screaming on the inside. He chose this backwater village, a 10-day ride from any major city, specifically to avoid the main storyline. He thought he'd never have to interact with the feudal lord's daughter, and yet, she came all this way on her own? Just to spar with him? He tries to downplay his own epicness. I'm afraid you overestimate me. My father's help was crucial, and I don't really think I possess that kind of courage you speak of. But Lycia isn't buying his humble act for a second. You're different from the other nobles who are all talk, she says. Then she drops the request that sends a chill down his spine. That's why I want you to come with me to Clausel. That way we can spar whenever we want. He's thinking she's just a battle-hungry workaholic, but he needs to shut this down, and fast. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I have no intention of leaving this village. Lycia's smile drops, and she gets this piercing look. It feels like, you've been trying to distance yourself from me this whole time. Do you perhaps like me? Our boy flails for an excuse. And no, that's not it. I like the village life. He pulls out the ultimate noble card. My father is the only person capable of defending this village. If another demon attacked, we'd be destroyed? But Lycia just stares into her teacup with a look of pure determination. I see. I won't give up. Just you wait. Alright. Let's dive right back into the chaos after a nice, peaceful family dinner. Our unsuspecting lead decides to get some fresh air. But instead of a quiet night, he finds himself ambushed in a stable. He's just trying to have a post-meal chill session, when suddenly, a wild challenger appears. This girl, who apparently never learned to knock, shows up with her sword drawn and a ridiculously smug look on her face. She proudly announces she got permission from his parents to drag him out here for a duel. Our boy's voice screams, "You have got to be kidding me." He flat out refuses to even pick up his sword, but this girl plays dirty. She hits him with the ultimate threat. If you don't fight me, I'm just gonna extend my stay here indefinitely. Realizing he's trapped, this absolute unit just cackles, grabs the sword, and plays it off like he wanted to work out anyway. A master of salvaging his dignity, she lays down the stakes. If she wins, he has to spill all his secrets and get dragged back to her fancy city, Clausel. But our main man isn't a pushover. He fires back, what happens if I win? Without missing a beat, she flashes a devilish grin and says she'll just come back and challenge him again tomorrow. It's a lose-lose situation, and she knows it. What an absolute troll. With a battle cry, she charges. The duel is on. Swords clash in a shower of sparks as she comes at him with everything she's got. She immediately unleashes some kind of unhinged whipsword attack, trying to catch him off guard. But our boy parries it like a pro, leaving her completely bewildered. He's like, seriously, why are you so obsessed with beating me? Her answer is simple and brutally honest. I hate losing. Apparently, being the saintess of white means she has a reputation to uphold, and she refuses to get shown up by some random village guy her age. Our hero is just trying to process what her title has to do with any of this. When she explains that her saintess skill is basically a built-in cheat code for swordsmanship and physical stats. Not only that, she can use sacred magic. So losing is, in her words, terribly frustrating. She screams, lunging at him with another furious assault. She declares that playtime is over. She's getting serious now, and she ain't lying. Our guy feels the pressure spike. She's suddenly way faster, way stronger. This has to be her sacred magic kicking in. For the uninitiated, sacred magic is a busted combo of healing and holy power-ups. He's forced on the defensive, blocking a relentless storm of attacks. She pulls off a ridiculous mid-air spinning slash, basically flexing her divine buffs. Even he has to admit, she's pretty strong when she's all powered up. He yells, "Couldn't you have used that earlier?" She fires back that her guardian, Weiss, would scold her for going all out without permission. Realizing the gloves are off, our boy decides it's time for him to get serious too. The fight kicks into ludicrous speed. Sparks fly as steel meets steel in a chaotic dance of blades. He dodges, weaves, and parries, analyzing her every move. And then, he sees his opening. He's figured out her pattern. In a flash, he closes the distance and puts the tip of his sword right at her throat. Checkmate. She's frozen in shock. This absolute unit thinks to himself, yeah, she's strong, but she's no Chief Wolven. He holds her there, her overconfidence completely shattered. She can't believe it. He shoves her back, and, as she stumbles, he follows up with a perfectly executed leg sweep. She hits the dirt, utterly defeated. He stands over her, the victor. "It's my win," he says, his voice ice cold. Her mind is just blown. No way. But just when you think it gets over, she refuses to accept defeat. In a last-ditch effort, she yeets her sword at him. He casually swats it aside, but she's already on her feet, screaming, I haven't lost yet." This girl's tenacity is on another level. Suddenly, a slow clap echoes through the yard. Her guardian Weiss steps out of the shadows, looking thoroughly impressed. He praises our hero's incredible skill, mentioning that it's no wonder he took down a Chief Wolven all by himself. He turns to his lady, basically saying, "See? Now do you get how strong this guy is?" He hopes this dose of reality will motivate her. She just looks down, completely humbled. She apologizes for her chaotic entrance, admitting it was a great experience. Our boy, ever the awkward victor, just kinda agrees. Weiss apologizes on her behalf, but our main man tries to brush it off. Weiss isn't having it. He looks him dead in the eye and says, "Yes, you did." This old man knows exactly what he just witnessed. Weiss explains that the young lady had gotten complacent since no one her age could ever challenge her. This beatdown was a much-needed wake-up call. He wishes they could stay for more sparring, but duty calls, and they have to leave in the morning. Turns out, she's not just some spoiled noble. She's on a mission from her father to calm unrest in the region. She's a top student, a prodigy in both academics and combat. Our boy reflects that while she's overbearing, she's also incredibly straightforward. And then we see the real reason he's been pushing her away. A dark vision of a future where he holds her lifeless body. He never expected to meet her this early in the timeline, throwing all his plans into chaos. The next morning arrives. The saintess couldn't sleep a wink, still reeling from her defeat. Determined, she sits down and starts writing a letter. Weiss catches her, asking if it's for our boy. She confirms, hoping a formal written invitation will work better than her usual methods. But as Weiss reads it, his face twists in horror. "Young lady, this reads like a love letter." He reads a line out loud, "The passion I feel for you surpasses what I felt before we met." And she panics, insisting it's all true. Weiss gently explains that her choice of words sounds less like a challenge and more like a desperate confession of love. He keeps reading about her valor and gallantry, and she's about to die from embarrassment. He completely trolls her, saying she sounds like a country girl who just met her knight in shining armor. Defeated for the second time in 12 hours, she admits he's right. The letter is a total disaster and must be destroyed. Later, they ride off, waving goodbye. After their flashy first meeting, the saintess meekly leaves the village. But as she's about to toss the embarrassing letter, a gust of wind snatches it right out of her bag. Fate, it seems, has a wicked sense of humor. She rides on, completely oblivious. Meanwhile, our hero decides to test out his new skill, Demon's Sword of Banditry, which has a chance to steal an item. He spots a bird and gives it a try. The skill activates, and poof. A single feather appears in his hand. Okay, it works. But then another bird flies past and drops something right into his hands. It's the letter. He opens it, his eyes going wide with confusion. What is this? A love letter. The universe just delivered her cringe right to his doorstep. You absolutely love to see it. Alright, let's dive right back into the chaos. Our boy is minding his own business in the woods, holding a suspicious-looking letter. He squints at the high-quality parchment, his brain immediately jumping to the only logical conclusion. Who's trying to invite me to Clausel? Then his hopeless romantic side kicks in, wondering if this fancy note is from a certain silver-haired saintess. But before he can get lost in daydreams, the sound of thunderous hoofbeats snaps him back to reality. Something big is coming, and it's coming fast. Suddenly, a squad of heavily armored knights bursts through the trees, looking like they own the place. Our main man immediately clocks the crest on their banner. That is definitely note the local Clausel family sigil. These guys are outsiders. Without missing a beat, the knights charge forward and surround this unsuspecting lead, their horses kicking up dirt and leaves. They pull up right in front of him, a wall of steel and intimidation. It's a full-on power move, and they haven't even said a word yet. The captain, helmet still on, gets straight to the point. You a subject of the Ashton family? Our boy confirms, and the knight drops the bombshell. They're messengers from Viscount Givens. The name hits Len like a truck, his eyes go wide with shock. See, a Viscount seriously outranks a baron and Givens' domain is right next door. Ignoring these guys is not an option, so this absolute unit has no choice but to lead the entire cavalry back to his humble home. The head knight, a pretty boy named Weiss, takes off his helmet, looking way too smug. He strolls inside like he's already bought the property and finds Len's dad recovering in bed. Weiss announces he has a message for Len Ashton. The Viscount holds you in high regard, he says with a grin. He would like to employ you at his residence. A job offer from a big-shot noble? Things just got spicy. Len's soul basically leaves his body in pure confusion. Weiss explains that since their written invitations were getting ghosted, they decided to show up in person. He knows Len serves the Clausel family and he does not care. This is where one of the local guards steps in, calling out this ridiculous breach of protocol. You can't just stroll into another lord's territory and try to poach their best talent. It's a major political diss, and this guy calls them on it. The two sides stare each other down, the tension thick enough to cut with a sword, but Weiss just gives a condescending little smirk. Fair enough, he says, completely unbothered, and with that, he and his knights just leave, tossing a casual "will come again" over their shoulder. Talk about a shady exit. Once they're gone, Len's dad reveals the true, unhinged nature of the message. They weren't just after Len. They want to incorporate the entire village into Viscount Givens' domain. In other words, they're caught in the middle of a nasty political feud. Time for a quick politics lesson, so buckle up. The entire empire is split into three chaotic factions. First, you have the Imperial faction, the royal family bootlickers who think only the Lion King's bloodline can rule. Second is the Hero faction, run by the descendants of legendary heroes. This is where our boy Viscount Givens hangs out. They're all about democracy, think the royals need to be taken down a peg. Finally, there's the neutral faction, the pacifists who just want everyone to chill out. Their local lord, Baron Clausel, is a card-carrying member of this group. Len immediately questions this. Can a noble just annex another's territory? Apparently, if everyone agrees, it's possible. But his dad knows there's a shady motive lurking beneath the surface. The guard adds that Baron Clausel is a good dude, and having the saintess on their side makes them a prime target for recruitment by other factions. Our hopeless hero realizes he's already neck-deep in a conspiracy. They're not just related to the conflict, they're stuck in the middle of a political spiderweb. Trying to get a grip, Len rereads the letter from Givens. The Viscount's official excuse for the takeover is the village's lack of military strength, specifically mentioning the recent Chief Wolven incident. But Len's dad points out that monster attack was a complete anomaly, something totally out of the ordinary, and that's when the gears in our boy's massive brain start turning. He remembers hearing that a feudal lord can be punished if their territory suffers monster damage due to inadequate forces. He connects the dots with lightning speed. Could Givens be trying to frame Baron Clausel for incompetence? The room goes silent. He's onto something. Len lays out the entire 5D chess move. Givens manufactures a crisis, protects the village, accuses Baron Clausel of being useless, and then swoops in to absorb his lands and forces him into the hero faction. It's a hostile corporate takeover, medieval style, but he's not done. He takes the theory one step further into pure, unhinged genius. Case scenario. The Chief Wolven incident wasn't an anomaly. It was a setup. Viscount Givens might have deliberately unleashed that monster on their village. His dad thinks that's insane, but Len argues that while he has no proof, it's the only theory that makes everything click into place. If it's true, it's a scandal that could shatter the entire region. The guard is absolutely stunned, admitting that the Baron himself suspected the same thing. This kid is a strategic mastermind. For now, all they can do is stay vigilant. Our main man now knows he's a pawn in a much bigger game. Time passes. He dedicates himself to training, studying and protecting his home as autumn turns to winter. He even helps lead the winter hunt, ensuring the village is well stocked and safe. The guards are blown away by his talent, telling him he's destined for greatness in the capital. But Len humbly declares he's the heir of the Ashton family, and this village is his home. The guard literally starts crying with pride. It's wholesome as heck. Len heads home. And content. He asks the maid where his mom is, and she casually mentions she's with Rigdono. He walks into the kitchen, and his brain short-circuits. There, sitting at his kitchen table, munching on snacks like she owns the place, is the saintess Elna. She winces at his shocked yell. "What do you mean, why are you here?" she says with a mischievous smirk. "If you're not coming to Clausel, it's obvious that I'd come here instead." Our boy is completely and utterly bewildered. This girl is persistent on a whole other level. Alright, let's dive right back into this chaotic story. After all that drama with the Viscount, Lycia decides to pay our boy's family another visit, but she's not here for a friendly chat. She walks straight into his dad's room, who's laid up in bed looking worse for wear. She throws her hands out, and a wave of pure, holy light washes over him. We're talking top-tier saintess healing magic. Dad sits up, feeling like $1,000,000, and gives a heartfelt thank you to Lady Lycia. Leave the room. Our main man asks if she's treated his dad before. Just casually drops, "Oh yeah, I did. Didn't you know?" The look on our hero's face is priceless. He is completely out of the loop. Cue the flashback. We see them sparring out in the snow, blades clashing like a scene out of an action movie. And let me tell you, Lycia has been grinding. Her movements are way sharper than before. She's actually putting up a fight, but in her haste, she overcommits and totally loses her footing on the ice. Just as she's about to eat a face full of snow, our boy snaps into action, sliding in for the picture-perfect hero catch. And boom! She is frozen, staring up at him, her face turning 50 shades of red. She immediately yeets herself backward, totally flustered. Lycia's completely out of breath, wondering how this guy has basically infinite stamina. But even as she's panting, she admits sparring with him is the most fun she has. She points her sword at him and declares, "Let's spar again tomorrow. I won't lose next time." Our unsuspecting lead is just standing there, bewildered by this energetic challenge. And so, for the next few days, it's an epic montage of sparring sessions and study halls. But the training arc has to end, and Lycia eventually departs, leaving our boy to watch her ride off into the snowy distance. This guy knows he's playing with fire, thinking to himself that getting any closer to the story's heroine is probably a terrible idea. The internal conflict is real. Fast forward a bit, winter ends, the snow melts, and spring finally arrives. Our main man is out with his dad, who is fully recovered and back in action. But just as things feel normal, a squad of knights rolls up. And of course, it's Viscount Givens' goons, back for another round of annoyance. The lead knight smirks, telling them he's been waiting. He says the Viscount still wants to hire the dad, but he's also brought some good news for the son. Apparently, the Viscount is offering to pull some major strings. He wants to get our boy admitted into the legendary Imperial Academy. Specifically, into the special class. The entire family is floored. Their jaws are on the ground. Len's dad starts freaking out, saying that getting into the regular class is already a Herculean task. The knight just scoffs, explaining that the special class is an exclusive club for the heirs of the 7 great nobles and a few other certified geniuses, but a recommendation from the Assistant Minister of Justice. That's a golden ticket. So, what does our hopeless hero say this unbelievable, life-changing opportunity? He looks the knight dead in the eye and just goes, "No thank you." The entire world stops. The knight's brain literally blue screens. He cannot comprehend what just happened. Inside, Len is having a full-blown panic attack. The special class is where all the main characters of the game convene. It's the one place in the entire world he absolutely cannot go. See, enrolling there would put him on a collision course with the game's main plot, the very thing he's been trying to avoid. Publicly, he just mumbles that he's happy living in the village. The knight absolutely loses his mind, yelling at Len's dad, "What are you thinking?" But Dad is a certified G. He apologizes and says it's his son's life, his son's choice. Besides, he lays down the law, stating his family has served the Clausels for generations, and their pride isn't for sale. Seething, but finally relents. He leaves with a passive-aggressive, "This is most unfortunate," and rides off. Our boy watches them go, probably sweating buckets. Days later, Another group of riders approaches. It's Lycia and her guards, but something is terribly wrong. She's slumped over in her saddle, looking like she's on death's door. This is her third visit, and it's a certified disaster. They rush her inside and into bed. The poor girl is burning up with a fever. Her guard explains she fell ill 3 days prior. It's a bizarre sickness that only targets children with high magical power. It hits suddenly, and while it isn't contagious, the high fever that comes with it can be fatal. She's going to need at least 2 to 3 weeks of complete bed rest to recover. Our main man is seriously concerned. 3 days later, her condition finally stabilizes. Len goes in to check on her. He finds her awake, her cheeks still flushed from the fever, and the very first thing she does is look at him with tears in her eyes and whisper, "I'm sorry." She feels like a massive burden for getting sick right after arriving. This absolute unit immediately tries to comfort her, insisting it's not her fault at all, but she's spiraling. She explains this whole trip was meant to prove her worth as the saintess and rally support for her family. Now, she just feels completely frustrated with herself for failing. To add insult to injury, she couldn't even beat him. Once in their training spars, the dam breaks and she starts talking about her late mother. How overjoyed she was when Lycia was born the Saintess of White, and how she always believed Lycia would do great things. Lycia admits she's only ever seen her mother in portraits, but she wears her mother's childhood clothes as a memento, to feel like she's being cheered on. Len realizes the outfit she always wears is a precious keepsake. Lycia continues, her voice cracking, saying she wanted to meet everyone's expectations but it was all for nothing, and then she drops the emotional nuke. "This will be the last time I come here." Why? 'Cause she heard that he turned down the Viscount's offer to attend the academy. In her pure, innocent mind, she believes he and his father risking to show their loyalty to her family, and she can't bear being the cause of their trouble. She apologizes again, truly and deeply, for everything, and our boy is just sitting there, his heart getting absolutely shredded. He thinks to himself, this girl is nothing but pure, and the horrifying truth crashes down on him. The one with the secrets, the one pulling the strings and causing all this pain, is him. He looks at this pure-hearted girl, crushed by a burden that isn't even hers, and wonders if this is really how it all ends. Alright, let's dive right in. Our boy Len and the young miss are having a bit of an awkward post-battle chat. She's trying to wrap things up, asking if she can borrow some ink to write a letter to her pops. Our main man, ever the gentleman, is like, "Of course, stationery's in the box on my desk, feel free." And then this absolute unit drops a casual bomb. "This is actually my room, I was just cleaning when you showed up." The look on her face is pure, unadulterated shock. She immediately feels like she's been a massive pain in the neck. But our hopeless hero, trying to play it cool, asks if she could maybe bring a fire-lighting magic tool the next time she visits. You know, just a spare. He even clarifies, "I'm referring to when you visit again," completely ignoring the fact that she said she was never coming back. The sheer audacity. She sputters, reminding him she's avoiding him specifically because she keeps causing trouble. Realizing he overplayed his hand, this guy smoothly pivots. He points out that anyone would be confused by a sudden ambush spar. He tells her it's all good as long as she just gives him a little heads up next time. It's a verbal judo flip, turning her apology into an open invitation. He then makes a graceful exit, telling her to get some rest and that they'll talk properly when she's feeling better. She's left completely speechless, just sitting there like her brain just blue-screened. The second Len closes the door, he facepalms so hard you can feel it. "What am I even saying?" he mutters, his cool guy facade crumbling instantly. Meanwhile, the young miss is still processing. "I'm welcome to return." The thought alone makes her headache start to fade. Deciding to write that letter while she has the energy, she heads over to his desk. She opens the drawer, looking for the ink box, but instead of ink, she pulls out a folded piece of paper. She unfolds it and starts reading seriously dramatic prose about valor, bravery, and gallantry. Her go wide with horror. A memory echoes in her mind. "Young lady, this looks like a love letter." The realization hits her like a freight train. This is her letter. The one she thought she lost. And this guy not only found it, read it. She goes into full meltdown mode. They're wrong. This isn't a love letter. She insists to an empty room, trying to convince herself more than anyone else. "It's not like I have feelings for him or anything. Yeah, sure. And I'm the King of England." She's absolutely mortified, wondering why he'd keep something so embarrassing. She tells herself to just throw it away, but instead she clutches it to her chest, busted. Lying in bed, she can only wonder what on earth he thought after reading her secret, cringe-filled confession. The next day, things seem to be getting back to normal. Her knights, feeling grateful, offer to help with repairs around the house. Everyone splits up. Len is heading to the forest with one group. The young miss watches from her window, slowly recovering. For a hot second, it looks like everything is going to be okay. And then of course, it starts to rain. The work crew takes a break under a tree to wait out the downpour. Suddenly our main man catches a whiff of something weird. "Do you smell something burning?" he asks. It smells like a controlled burn, but something feels off. His blood runs cold. The smell is coming from the direction of the house. The entire building is engulfed in a roaring inferno. He bolts, sprinting across the field like his life depends on it. But it's already a nightmare. He finds the knights he left behind, completely wiped out. One poor dude has his neck bitten off. This was no accident. Panic slams into him. The young lady is still inside. He charges into the blazing house without a second thought, finding the guards inside have met the same fate. This was a perfectly timed, brutal ambush, and there, standing in the flames, is the mastermind. A shady, hooded figure accompanied by a terrifying, winged beast. The unconscious young miss is lying right behind them. Len recognizes the creature instantly. It's a mana eater, a formidable D-rank monster. Seeing her in danger, our hero throws caution to the wind and screams her name. Charging forward, the hooded figure just turns and says, "You must be Len Ashton. Get away from her." Before Len can even react, the world starts to warp and twist around him. His vision distorts, his strength vanishes, and he collapses to his knees. The villain reveals his secret weapon, a small incense burner. This isn't just any air freshener. It's potent enough to put a dragon to sleep for days. Realizing he's been completely outplayed, Len can only watch in horror as his consciousness begins to fade into blackness. He wakes up with a jolt, chained in the back of a moving cart. He's bewildered, trying to figure out where he is. Then he sees her. The young lady is next to him, also in chains, but thank goodness, she's still breathing. Their kidnapper casually informs them that the knockout gas should last about 4 days, so they should just behave. 4 days. Len looks out and sees they're already deep in the mountains, miles from anywhere. The situation is beyond dire. This guy is a beast tamer who can control not 1, but 2 D-rank monsters. But the biggest problem isn't the villain, it's her. Her condition is getting worse. He knows that if they stay captive any longer, her life will be in serious danger. And in that moment, something inside him snaps. He looks at her, a fire of determination in his eyes, and makes a solemn vow. "I will definitely save her." Alright, let's dive right in. We open on our leading lady Lycia, and she is not having a good time. She's unconscious, tears streaming down her face, clearly at her limit. Our boy, watching over her, knows the clock is ticking. He clenches his jaw. Tonight's the night. He has to make his move. Under the light of a full moon, their prison wagon sits ominously in a dark forest. Their kidnapper, some shady hooded figure, is posted up by a campfire, completely oblivious. This is the chance our main man has been waiting for. Despite being in chains, he starts to focus his energy, and then, BAM! A freaking materializes out of thin air. The demon sword of metal, baby. Those supposedly unbreakable chains, they get absolutely obliterated with a single touch. Our hero looks at the sword, shocked by its ridiculous sharpness. He immediately tries to use it to bust out of the wagon, but it just pokes a tiny hole through the wood. Oh, so it's a sword, not a battering ram. Good to know. Plan B it is. He helps Lycia out of the back while their captor is snoozing. But this is a fantasy world, so of course, a pack of wild dragon lizards decides to crash the escape party. One of them dive bombs our heroes, and our boy has to tackle Lycia out of the way just in the nick of time. They hit the ground hard, which turns out to be a blessing, because the hooded creep wakes up and unleashes a cataclysmic blast of energy that completely vaporizes the wagon they were just in. The attack is so unhinged that even the monster that was attacking them is stunned like, "What's your problem?" The explosion sends a shockwave through the entire forest. Thinking fast, this absolute unit shields Lycia and starts spinning his sword like a helicopter blade, deflecting the entire magical onslaught. The captor is completely bewildered. "Hey, where did you get that weapon?" Instead of answering, our boy just yeets the sword, pinning the guy's staff to a nearby tree. And then, just to flex on this dude, he summons a second sword. Meet the demon sword of wood. A single point of the blade causes massive vines to erupt from the earth, ensnaring one of the monsters, and then wrapping up the captor himself for good measure. The guy is losing his mind, screaming natural magis, like he's just seen a ghost. Seizing the moment, our hero scoops up Lycia and makes a mad dash for the horse. Even tangled in vines, the captor isn't done. "You're not getting away," he roars, but our hopeless hero has more ridiculous tricks up his sleeve. He summons a tired weapon, the demon sword of banditry, which is basically a souped-up dagger. He flings it, and it magically snatches the staff right out of the captor's hand. The poor guy can only watch in disbelief. "My staff? What's the meaning of this?" They bolt on horseback as the local wildlife continues its chaotic brawl. The captor finally breaks free, his eyes burning with rage. "I won't let you escape, Len Ashton." He powers up, strange tattoos glowing on his arm, and unleashes his ultimate technique. calling every single beast in the forest to hunt them down. Suddenly, they're being chased by an unholy stampede of demonic apes, battle boars, and massive wolves. Our boy quickly explains that this guy's power is to control monsters weaker than him, which means they're facing an army of quantity over quality. No big deal. Len just summons the metal sword again and unleashes a massive spinning slash that turns dozens of the charging monsters into mincemeat. But the horde is endless. They swarm the horse, clawing and biting at its legs. A wolf beast lunges right for Lycia, and Len has to block it with his own arm, taking a nasty bite for his troubles. As if that wasn't enough, one of the dragon lizards from before swoops in and unleashes a torrent of fire. They barely manage to swerve out of the way, galloping into the woods as the forest burns behind them. Meanwhile, we cut to the northern town of Clausel, where a nobleman gets the worst news of his life. His daughter, Lycia, has been kidnapped. The head of his guard is on his knees, apologizing for his failure and begging for another chance to save her. But Lycia's father, Lizard, is surprisingly calm. He tells the man not to blame himself, as Lycia had ordered him away, but must act immediately and inform the emperor. Before he can even send a messenger, a servant bursts in. Urgent visitors from the imperial capital. Standing at the bottom of his grand staircase are 3 men in official uniforms. They're from the Minister of Justice, but they're not here to offer aid. Oh no. With a stone-cold expression, their leader announces that Baron Clausel is under scrutiny for conspicuous negligence, blaming him for the monster attacks that got his own daughter abducted. The political games have begun, and our heroes are caught right in the middle. Alright, let's dive right in. Our boy has successfully rescued the princess, but their cross-country road trip is off to a rocky start. The poor girl is running a nasty fever, and our main man is playing the role of a 5-star wilderness nurse. He whips up some kind of medicinal herb concoction he foraged from the woods. She gives the bowl of green sludge a suspicious side-eye, clearly not thrilled about her new dietary options. But hey, when you're sick in the middle of nowhere, you drink the sludge. The taste immediately assaults her senses, and she looks like she's about to yeet her soul out of her body. Our hopeless hero quickly offers her some water, which she chugs like her life depends on it. After that traumatic taste-testing experience, they ford a river and continue their trek, with this absolute unit carrying her the whole way. A few days later, they're back on the road, looking like seasoned adventurers. Her fever's gone, and she's finally able to form a coherent question. Where did you even get those herbs? Turns out our boy traded some monster parts at a village they passed. He even snagged some extra travel supplies by flexing his hunting skills on a giant boar. She's genuinely touched by how capable this guy is, offering a heartfelt thank you. He just shrugs it off with a cool smile like it's no big deal. She quickly recognizes their surroundings, pointing out they're near Viscount Given's territory. Our main man confirms they're looking at the Baldur Mountains. He can even navigate from here, which is pretty impressive. Of course, the only reason he knows this is because it's the final boss area in his favorite video game. Classic isekai protagonist move. She figures it'll take about 4 days to get to her home, Clausel, but she's worried about her family's safety. Our unsuspecting lead, however, casually drops a bombshell. Oh, don't worry about them. They weren't home that day. The way he says it is so confident, so matter-of-fact, that she just has to trust him. He suggests they make a little detour to greet the Baron before heading back. She's so moved she can barely speak. Just another thank you filled with tears. As night falls, the rain starts coming down. They find shelter, and our boy gets a fire going. Dinner tonight is a giant bird he apparently snatched out of the sky. She's bewildered, asking how he managed to catch it. He just says he used a vine trap. Simple, effective, and totally badass. She asks if it's thanks to his mysterious sword, but he just trolls her, saying its power is a secret. So mean. He then pulls out a broken crystal pendant. She asks if it's a busted magic tool. Bingo. This guy reveals he snatched it from the beast tamer during their chaotic escape. They figure it was probably the soundproofing tool used on the carriage. With the mystery solved for now, dinner is served. He seasons some freshly cooked bird skewers, and admits the presentation is a bit basic. She decides to give it a try. She takes a bite, her expression unreadable for a moment. Then, a radiant smile breaks across her face. It's delicious. Our boy looks genuinely relieved and happy to hear it. The journey continues through rocky terrain, lush orchards where they pick fresh fruit, and past ancient bridges. They stop by a stream to do some laundry, which is honestly a surprisingly domestic and wholesome moment. While she's waiting for her clothes to dry, she looks off into the distance, lost in thought. Our hopeless hero notices a smudge on her face. Without a word, he gently wipes it away. This simple gesture completely short-circuits her brain. He just smiles and says they can have a proper conversation once she's feeling better, but her face is already beet red. He checks her forehead, confirming the fever is gone, which only makes her more flustered. She swats his hand away, insisting she's fine. But later, she's still thinking about his letter, everything that's happened. Finally, she confronts him. "You're hiding something from me, aren't you?" Our boy is completely bewildered. She asks why he kept her letter, treasuring it inside a box. His mind goes completely blank. "What are you referring to?" he asks, genuinely confused. She gets frustrated, telling him not to play dumb. She's talking about the thing in his room. And then it clicks. A flashback reveals his sister asking him why he's collecting a box full of used magic stones. He just thought they looked pretty. Apparently, it's a weird family trait. So, the absolute unit thinks she's talking about his weird rock collection. He tries to explain himself, saying, "Ever since that first glance, it has always been on my mind." He's talking about Araikike people. But from her perspective, this guy just dropped the most poetic, out-of-pocket confession of all time. Her brain, just blue screens. On your mind. She's a flustered mess, while he's just smiling, thinking it's not that weird to be curious about things. He even wonders if she's uncomfortable because the stones came from monsters. "Bro, read the room," she finally snaps. "I get it already. Stop bringing it up." She's completely overwhelmed, wondering how she's supposed to react to what she thinks is a sudden love confession. After a long, awkward silence, she buries her face and mutters, "Just use my name. If you must, just call me by my name." He's left standing there, utterly clueless as to what just happened. They finally reach a small village. Our main man trades the rest of the giant boar for some medicinal herbs, since they're all out. An old woman asks where they're headed, and when she hears Clausel, she points them in the right direction. But then she drops a devastating piece of news. The Baron of Clausel is about to be punished. Her world stops. What? Why? The old woman isn't sure of the details, but rumors are flying that the Baron instigated monster attacks against Viscount Givens. That's the last straw. They immediately bolt, racing towards Clausel at full speed. She's in complete denial. "Why? That's impossible. My father would never do such a thing." Our boy knows something is deeply wrong with this story. It's a blatant setup. Soon, the city of Clausel comes into view, but as they arrive, so does someone else. A fancy carriage rolls through the streets, turning the heads of the public. The door opens, and a polished boot steps onto the pavement. It's Viscount Givens, and he's looking smug as hell. He declares that with control of this territory, the hero faction's influence will expand. This is his moment. This is his coup. Of Leomel, to rise from its decay, they must first bring down the Clausels. The time has come. Alright, let's dive right in. Night falls, and our heroes are playing a high-stakes game of tag with some very angry knights. They're absolutely booking it across the plains. But these armored goons are stuck to them like glue. Lycia glances back, totally panicked, realizing they just can't shake him. She's pushing their horse to its absolute limit, praying they can just make it over the next hill to civilization. But just as they think they might have a chance, a new player enters the game. And this one brought pets. Sitting atop a rock spire is a shady-looking hooded figure, flanked by two honest-to-God dragons. The guy casually holds out his hand, basically saying, "Yeah, I knew you'd be coming this way." Our boy's face drops. His soul basically evacuates his body as he recognizes the beast tamer, and this dude wastes zero time. The ground itself has a violent seizure, and their horse understandably freaks out. Suddenly, the entire landscape erupts into a tidal wave of nightmare fuel. We're talking walking plants, killer flowers, and just general unholy abominations bursting from the dirt. It's like a garden salad decided to fight back, and it brought an army of giant, snarling rats to the party. Without missing a beat, Lycia asks for a sword, but our main man is a little distracted, because the knights chasing them are now running for their lives straight into this chaos. The knights start screaming, "Wait, stop, where y'all is?" to the swarm of rats. Pro tip, rats don't care about your alliances. They get absolutely buried under a tsunami of teeth and claws. It's a beautiful, chaotic moment of instant karma. The beast tamer just scoffs from above, "Bad timing for you." He gives them an ultimatum, surrender peacefully or he'll use force. And his idea of force involves a swarm of giant, terrifying wasps. This guy doesn't mess around. Len draws his sword as thorny vines try to grab him. But before he can do much, Lycia snaps. She grabs a blade and starts dicing up mushroom monsters like she's on a cooking show. Our unsuspecting lead is completely bewildered, asking when she got so strong. She just screams back, "I trained to beat you," while absolutely obliterating some poor slime monster's face. This girl is a whirlwind of pure destruction, carving a path through the demonic vegetable patch. But even with her new skills, they're trapped. They realize the only way out is to take down the beast tamer himself. And right on cue, the situation gets worse. The ground shakes violently, as a colossal sandworm from hell bursts out from below. Lycia's scream gets cut short because this absolute unit, Len, doesn't even flinch. He just calmly pulls out a wicked-looking new blade, the demon sword of metal. With one clean, almost casual swing, he yeets a slash of pure energy that bisects the monster from head. Other end. The two halves of the worm collapse in an epic shower of rock and gore. Now it's Lycia's turn to be shocked. "Hey, you seem much stronger too," she says, stating the obvious. Up on his perch, even the beast tamer is visibly impressed. He mutters to himself about the wind pressure from that attack reaching all the way to him. He's got this look of genuine intrigue. But our hopeless hero isn't looking at him. His eyes are wide with a new kind of terror. He's staring at something in the distance, something that makes a dragon-taming wizard look like a warm-up act. "Why?" he whispers, his voice trembling. "Why is she here?" The beast tamer's expression turns deadly serious. He knows exactly who Len is talking about, and he says the name of this new, terrifying presence. "Yerku." Alright, let's dive in. Our boy is in a world of hurt, but things are about to get absolutely legendary. We open on a new player entering the field, Yerku, the beast tamer. He's one of the 7 legendary heroes. A dude so famous his reputation arrives 5 minutes before he does. And, according to our main man's knowledge of the future, this encounter is happening way off schedule. Len's internal monologue is basically, to record scratch and, what? This isn't just some random cameo. Yerku is a known menace. The guy has a notoriously cruel streak and got himself exiled for killing his own kin. As punishment, his arms were slapped with a powerful magic seal, nerfing him so hard he can barely use 2 skills at once without some magical assistance. Len quickly puts 2 and 2 together. The only reason this shady elf is here is because Viscount Givens must have hired him, probably promising to remove that pesky seal as payment. While Len is playing detective, he and Lycia are still surrounded by an ocean of angry mushroom monsters. Lycia, bless her heart, turns to our hero and asks, "So, got any tactics, or are we just gonna wing it?" Tactics. Our guy looks at the unholy trifecta of an ancient hero, his pet dragon, and 2 D-rank wolfen, and his face says it all. Victory is not just out of reach. It's in a different solar system. But just as despair starts to creep in, Lycia does a sly smile. She leans in and casually drops a bombshell. "Len, I'm the saintess of white, don't you remember?" Before flexing an insane amount of holy magic, Len's soul practically leaves his body. A tidal wave of sacred energy washes over him, enveloping him in a blinding light. He is absolutely bewildered, feeling this ridiculous power surge through his sword. Even Yerku, standing on his rock, can't help but notice the sudden vibe shift. With his newfound power-up, our hopeless hero is hopeless no more. He charges straight into the horde, sword held high, and unleashes a single, devastating slash. A web of pure light obliterates everything in its path, turning dozens of monsters into confetti in an instant. Yerku looks on, stunned. Sacred magic. Lycia, however, is looking a little drained from that massive buff. Seeing an opening, Yerku's dragon swoops in and unleashes a torrent of fire. But Lycia's not done yet. She throws up a hand, erecting a golden barrier that tanks the entire fire blast like it's nothing. The flames part around them, and the dragon gets blasted backward from the recoil, shrieking in pain. Our boy looks at Lycia, a newfound fire in his eyes. "With her by my side, we'll make it out of this." She returns the look, thinking the exact same thing. This is the ultimate power couple moment. They are ready to throw down. Yerku has seen enough. He points dramatically and roars, "I'll finish this right here." The final showdown begins. It's a chaotic clash of horse versus dragon. As braces for the final blow, the absolute unthinkable happens. The dragon, in its wild charge, completely misses Len and impales its own master right through the chest. The impact sends everyone flying. Yerku is yeeted off his crumbling pet, and Len and Lycia are thrown from their horse in the ensuing chaos. The battlefield falls silent as the dust settles. The monster is toast. Our heroes are down. Len rushes to Lycia's side, who's completely exhausted. He realizes that single, epic buff took everything she had. But the fight isn't over. Len looks up to see Yerku still standing on a ledge despite a new hole ventilated through his torso. The elf looks down at the wound, then, in bloody hands. And then, he starts to smile. A slow, unhinged cackle escapes his lips, building into a full-blown maniacal laugh. "Much blood?" he wheezes. "After all this time, I can't kill anyone at all." He collapses, seemingly defeated. But just as you think it's over, his eyes snap open, landing on Lycia. "No, I can still keep going." This guy then launches into the most chaotic villain monologue of all time, rambling about how the sight of people on the brink of death fills him with unspeakable ecstasy. He literally says, "Better than." Well, you can read. Suddenly, a shadowy tail erupts from the ground behind him. His mortally wounded dragon begins to reform into something new. Something darker. Yurku holds up his own arm, a twisted grin spreading across his face. He's summoning a mana eater, and to fuel its rampage, he's about to sacrifice his own limb. This is about to get so much worse. Alright, let's dive right back into the chaos. Our boy has just watched the shady elf dude go full on psycho, screaming "Devour it," with the most unhinged look I've ever seen. And what's he offering for dinner? Just his entire arm. He lets the shadow beast chomp down on his whole limb like it's a party snack. Len, our unsuspecting lead, can only watch as his soul basically leaves his body in pure terror. But the elf, this absolute unit, starts cackling maniacally, spitting up blood like it's confetti. A second later, the pain finally registers. He's screaming about despair. But honestly, what did you expect, my guy? The monster immediately starts thrashing, clearly regretting its life choices. Looks like that arm came with a side of cursed seal magic. The elf is just yelling, "Swallow it, whoa!" This man is not playing with a full deck. Suddenly, chains erupt from the seal, wrapping around the elf's body. He looks down at his now disintegrated arm stump and has the audacity to be surprised. "Was my arm not enough?" he whines. "Buddy, you just committed to the bit, you can't back out now." He sighs, accepting his fate with zero regrets, ready for the sweet release of death. But the monster has other plans. A shadowy spear gets yeeted straight through the elf's chest. He lets out a final gasp, and the monster smashes the tree he's trapped in, revealing a hidden potion that shatters all over him. Even as he's dying, he's laughing about what an expensive potion it was. This guy's priorities are a mess. With its previous owner out of commission, the shadow beast turns its attention to our heroes, letting out a deafening roar. Our boy hits the dirt, completely overwhelmed, but he scrambles back up, sword at the ready. Even with his last breath, the elf is still being a hater, whispering for the monster to kill them both. The beast takes to the sky and slams down right in front of them. It bolts forward with ridiculous speed, and our main man realizes he is completely, utterly screwed. The beast doesn't even hesitate. It just smacks him into next week. He gets tossed around like a rag doll, getting hit with a follow-up slam and a brutal tail whip. This is less of a fight and more of a beatdown. Len gets sent flying across the battlefield, taking another tail swipe for good measure. The dying elf is just watching this with a smug look on his face. As our hopeless hero gets absolutely obliterated, he realizes this mana eater is way stronger than before. At least a B rank. Scratch that, the monster flexes, it might be even higher. It lets out another roar to prove its point. Len stands his ground, but he's on his last legs. Lycia gets blown back by the shockwave, and the monster charges again, sending our boy flying. He's coughing up blood as Lycia calls out his name. The beast looms over them, ready to end it. The elf is having the time of his life, cackling about how this is his final ecstasy. What a creep. But as he's having his moment, Lycia begins to glow. A wave of light washes over them, and she gently takes Len's hand. She thanks him for protecting her, even though she's selfish. Then she hits him with the classic sacrifice play, "Leave this place. Stay safe." Our boy's eyes widen. He is not having it. As the monster's giant foot comes down to crush them, Len looks her dead in the eye. "I would never dream of leaving you behind, Lady Lycia. Let's go." Is stunned. With the foot of doom just inches away, Len raises his sword in a last-ditch effort to block. He pours every last drop of his strength into it, screaming as the pressure builds. And then, snap, the sword completely shatters into a million pieces. The beast is totally unfazed and roars victoriously. Len is left holding a useless hilt before getting flung backwards. He crashes next to Lycia, completely defeated. He can only cry as his last hope crumbles. But just as the monster closes in, Len's bracelet starts to glow where Lycia is touching it. The gem shines brightly, and a system message pops up. A new demon sword? At a time like this? The universe just dropped some legendary loot mid-fight. The monster senses the power spike and actually hesitates, but charges anyway. Big mistake. Fueled by pure protagonist energy, our boy screams. So long as it can protect here. I don't care. Take us. The bracelet erupts, forming a sword of pure light. The psycho elf can't believe his eyes. The monster swings its claw, but this time, Len meets it head-on with his new power-up. The light sword slices through the shadow beast's arm like it's nothing, completely obliterating the limb. The monster begins to disintegrate, roaring in agony as it's consumed by holy fire. The elf is losing his mind. How is this possible? The attack explodes outward in a massive dome of energy, launching a pillar of light so huge it probably has its own zip code. The light fades, leaving shimmering particles in the air. Our hero and Lycia are left floating in the aftermath, both completely stunned. They're just surrounded by this serene, overwhelming power, wondering what on earth just happened. Alright, let's dive right in. After the absolute chaos of the last battle, the world takes a breath, but don't get comfortable. The political snakes are already slithering. Our hopeless hero Len is woken up bright and early with some fantastic news. He's being transferred to the capital, which is basically code for paraded around before his execution. Elsewhere, the local gossip is that the whole trial is a sham and some shady viscount was pulling all the strings from the get-go. You don't say. And so the procession of shame begins, a whole parade just to transport one kid. Our boy is understandably not having a great time. He's on horseback, surrounded by guards, looking like he's about to be the main event at a very grim festival. Leading this whole charade is Viscount Givens, a man who looks like he invented the concept of a punchable face. His knight sidekick is confused, asking why the Viscount is so obsessed with Len and Lycia. I mean, she's got potential, but our main man is just some country knight, right? The Viscount just smirks. Just a country knight, you say? Oh, this guy knows something. He reveals he stumbled upon a secret about the Ashton family name. Apparently, getting his hands on them is the key to rising among the heroes. This is way bigger than a simple frame job. He cackles about being the only one who knows the truth, leaving his knight utterly bewildered. Givens then starts rambling about a mysterious light seen in the forest. Wondering if it was the saint's power, the knight reports that he's already sent men to investigate, which probably means get rid of any witnesses. Givens basically tells him not to screw it up, because the situation is already a mess and failure will not be forgiven. The pressure is on. The procession leaves the city gates, riding out into the open country. The mood is bleak, the bad guys are winning, when suddenly, a single rider appears on the horizon, bolting towards them like a missile. The guards collectively lose their minds. And who is this legendary rider? It's none other than Lycia, coming in hot with the sun at her back like a Valkyrie. The lead guard's jaw hits the floor. She looks absolutely regal and is not here to play games. The guards are screaming, "Princess!" And our boy Len can't believe his eyes. He tries to move, but his handler holds him back. Lycia reassures him that she's fine and they'll get the details later. This absolute unit just wants him to know that the cavalry has arrived. Len, seeing her, steals resolve, determined not to let their friend's sacrifice be for nothing. Viscount Givens rides up, dripping with condescension. "You must be," but Lycia cuts him clean off. "Watch your mouth." She immediately flexes her own rank, reminding this clown that she is a viscount, not some common criminal. Givens finds this hilarious, and then he drops the coldest line imaginable. "Don't be mistaken. It is your father who is a criminal." Oof. That one had to sting. Givens notes that she's clearly exhausted, but is putting on a brave face. He thinks he has her completely figured out, seeing her as just a tired little girl. He smugly asks if she can keep up her assertive act, which is when Lycia pulls out her trump card, the magical tool from the elf assassin he hired. Boom! Evidence, but Givens just scoffs. Lycia presses on, declaring they were attacked by the very elf he hired. The Viscount starts slowly, dramatically polishing his glasses, completely unbothered. "You wouldn't claim to have evidence with just a magical tool, would you?" he asks, basically calling her an idiot. Pushed into a corner, Lycia unleashes her final accusation. "Moreover, we were attacked by your knights in the nearby forest." Givens plays dumb. "By my knights?" And then she does it. She points directly at the pretty boy knight from earlier. "I remember the face. That knight right there swung his sword at me and Len." The knight is sweating buckets. He stammers out a pathetic excuse, claiming he was commanding outside the forest on the Viscount's orders. Givens, seeing his opening, smoothly concludes that poor Miss Saint must have been deceived by someone else. He is gaslighting her in broad daylight. Lycia tries to demand a proper investigation in her town, but Givens flashes a grin that could curdle milk. "That won't be necessary." One of Lycia's knights tries to object, but Givens shuts him down with pure, unadulterated authority. It's over. He's won. The loyal knight can only grit his teeth in frustration, but just when all hope seems lost, a quiet voice speaks. "It's Len." "Show it," he whispers. "Show your hands." Givens is completely bewildered. "Who are you talking to?" Our main man lifts his head, and the look in his eyes is not of a hero, but of a predator. With a chilling calm he says, "Obviously, your knight." The Viscount's smug expression instantly evaporates, replaced by pure, unfiltered shock. The game has just changed. Alright, let's dive right back into the chaos. Our boy is being hauled off, but not if the saintess has anything to say about it. She calls out to the knight claiming to be Len, her voice shaking but full of conviction. The shady Viscount and his pet knight are not impressed, but she keeps going. "Show me the back of your hand." She declares that there should be scars there. Scars that she and the real Len made together. The imposter's eyes go wide. His soul basically evacuates his body. The grizzled old knight captain, who clearly has a functioning brain, tells the guy, please show it. But Blondie starts panicking, stammering no to the Viscount. This dude tries to play it off, saying he was at work, but the old knight isn't having it. He repeats his demand, his voice dropping an octave, and then he goes full-on intimidation mode, roaring. Quick lie. Before my hand reaches the sword, this absolute unit is not messing around. The imposter is sweating buckets, his composure completely shattered. The crowd murmurs, sensing the epic drama about to unfold. With trembling hands, he slowly removes his gauntlet. The metal clatters to the ground, and everyone stares. His hand is wounded. The old knight looks closely. Looks like you didn't have very good potions. He points out that they're clearly sword wounds, but they have the distinct white burns of holy magic healing, and as he explains, no matter how good the potion, holy magic wounds always leave a trace for a while. Busted. Completely and utterly busted. The Viscount is seething. His whole plan is going up in smoke. But this shady politician is a pro at spinning lies. He starts cackling, suggesting they form a new committee to prove the knight's innocence. A classic stall tactic, but then without missing a beat, he snaps. He declares that the first trial is already over, and according to the law, the decision to transfer Baron Clausel is final. The crowd is bewildered, and our main man can only mutter, "Huh?" The saintess and the old knight are absolutely floored by this blatant abuse of power. The Viscount just smirks, the entertainment is over, and turns to leave. The hope drains from the saintess's face as she watches them begin to depart. She reaches out, but it's no use. The procession starts to move, taking our hero away for good. Tears well up in her eyes as she wonders what she can possibly do now. And then, a single sharp clap echoes through the square. Everyone freezes, turning to see who dared to interrupt. A sharply dressed older gentleman with a magnificent mustache stands there, applauding slowly. He steps forward, his shoes clicking on the cobblestone. Wonderful, dignified and noble. Courage that should be praised. This guy walks up like he owns the place, adding, "I couldn't have witnessed a more beautiful story." The saintess is bewildered. "Who are you?" The man gives a slight bow. "Myself, Edgar." He turns to her with a reassuring smile. "Milady Saint, leave this to me." Edgar makes it clear he's not here to ruin their moment, but to assist in wrapping up the story. He then faces the Viscount. "Viscount Given, it's a pleasure to meet you. I have come to Clausel under the Master's command." The Viscount, annoyed by this interruption, demands, "In that case, first, won't you reveal the name of your master?" Edgar just gives him the most troll-tastic, smug smile you've ever seen. Instead of answering, he presents an ornate dagger. "My apologies for this." The moment the Viscount and his cronies see it, their jaws hit the floor. Emblazoned on the hilt is a massive, unmistakable crest. "Oh yeah? It seems you understand even without revealing the name," Edgar says, savoring the moment. The Viscount, now pale as a ghost, sputters. "Don't be absurd. You must be plotting something." He tries to threaten Edgar, saying plotting against the noble crest is a capital offense. But Edgar just flexes harder. "Now then, officials of the Imperial Court, I have been given freedom to act as I see fit in this trial in my master's name." The lackey is speechless. Edgar drops the bombshell. "I propose to conduct a retrial for the Clausel." He then reveals that his master is deeply indebted to a boy named Len Ashton. He will see through to the end. We get a glimpse of this mysterious master, a shadowy figure of immense power, who has commanded his subordinate to lend a hand. The Viscount and his boy are absolutely losing it. Till the end, the Viscount can't wrap his head around it. Why? Why is he making a move suddenly? For something like this, he knows he's just picked a fight with a titan of the Empire. Edgar explains with a calm smile. "Thanks to the miracle you two caused, my master is now able to lend a hand without any worries. Oh, and there's one more little detail. In addition to that, Lord Len Ashton saved someone's life." And for the final, epic shutdown, Edgar turns to the fake hero. "Ah, by the way, earlier, did you say that you were outmaneuvered?" The Viscount's face says it all. He just realized he didn't just step on a landmine, he tap danced on a whole field of them. This is what a strong man is. Alright, let's dive right in. Our boy Len slowly comes to, his brain still booting up. The last thing he remembers is, well, a whole lot of screaming and a giant wolf. But now, he opens his eyes to find a girl sleeping peacefully just a few feet away. Before he can even process the 5-star hotel room he's woken up in, he sits up, completely bewildered. Suddenly, the girl snaps awake, and without a single word, she yeets herself right into his arms, clinging to him for dear life. Our main man is just frozen, trying to figure out if he's still dreaming while Lycia holds on tight. He finally manages to ask what's going on, and she hits him with the bombshell. "My dude, you've been sleeping for over a month." Just then, a new guy walks in, telling our hero to take it easy. This is Albert, and he starts laying out the biggest info dump of all time. Turns out, while Len was taking the world's most dramatic nap, Albert and Lycia were busy clearing his name. Thanks to them, a retrial was held, and our boy was proven completely innocent. So, what about the shady Viscount who framed him? Oh, that guy. He conveniently committed suicide with a hidden poison right before they could get to him. Len's eyes narrow. Suicide, huh? Is that what we're calling it? Especially since, someone also decided to turn his entire mansion into a giant bonfire, reducing everything to ashes. Yeah, nothing suspicious about that at all. Albert explains that the real MVP of the trial was the great noble, who helped them out. And who was this mysterious benefactor? None other than the chief wolven. Turns out the internal organs of that absolute unit our boy obliterated are basically the rarest potion ingredients in the entire world. They're almost impossible to get without, getting shredded to pieces. But since Len delivered a perfectly pristine monster corpse, Albert made a deal with a powerful marquise who desperately needed the material. And get this, the medicine worked. It saved the marquis's daughter who'd been sick for years. As a thank you, the marquise sent over a personal invitation. Len takes one look at the fancy envelope, and his brain short-circuits. He's seen this emblem before. His soul practically leaves his body. This is the crest of Marquise d'Ignat, the final of the entire story. This is the guy who's supposed to be a legendary hero before he snaps and plots to destroy the entire empire. And the trigger for his villain arc? The tragic death of his beloved daughter, the same daughter our hopeless hero just accidentally saved. The gears in his head are grinding as he realizes the catastrophic implications. He didn't just bend the story, he snapped it in half. A few weeks later, Len is recovering nicely. He even gets a visit from his parents, who heard he was safe and came running. Their mansion might be a pile of ash, but they managed to save some stuff, and most importantly, they're all okay. It's a genuinely sweet reunion, with his dad teasing him about how much he's grown up. Our boy just brushes it off, trying to act cool. Later he's thinking back to the fight, to the magic bracelet that turned into a sword. It reacted when he touched Lycia. Why? He and Lycia are chilling on a balcony, and he finds himself just staring at her. She totally calls him out on it, and he just plays it off. Then, with a sly grin, this guy decides to troll the saintess. He just casually asks, "I was just wondering, do you have a magic stone inside your body?" Lycia absolutely loses it. Her reaction is priceless as she stammers, asking how he could possibly know that. Our main man immediately backpedals, claiming he was just joking around. But the damage is done. She knows he knows. Lycia makes him promise to keep it a secret, explaining that only the highest-ranking members of the temple are aware that saints carry magic stones. This new info sends Len's mind racing again. The magic sword, the legend of the 7 heroes. If this sword is that powerful, maybe he really can change things. He's starting to see a path forward that isn't just about survival. Meanwhile, Lycia is having her own existential crisis. She'd been trying to avoid Len, believing his grim future was set in stone. But by beating the chief wolven, he didn't just save himself, he changed her fate too. Her father and Yurko, who were supposed to be dead, are now alive. And now, the fate of the final boss's family has been altered. She realizes that every single choice he makes ripples through this world in ways she can't predict. She gently touches his face, snapping him out of his thoughts. "What am I wondering?" he thinks to himself. Lycia leans in and says with total sincerity, "Ren is my hero and no one else's." She even cheekily adds, "You're a sly person, saying kind things after beating me to a pulp on our first day." Our boy is completely stunned, his face turning 50 shades of red. Far away from this budding romance, we cut to a bustling city, specifically the Imperial Military Academy principal's office. Inside, a woman is reading the newspaper, which is buzzing about the miracle of the Holy Saint and the massive beam of light that was seen across the continent. This is Principal Clonoa Highland, and she looks bored out of her mind. With a sigh, she wishes that someone, somewhere in this world, would finally make her boredom disappear. Little does she know, her wish is about to be granted in the most chaotic way possible. Alright, let's dive right back into the chaos. The imperial capital is in absolute shambles after a series of, let's call them, incidents. A crazed royal guard decided the third to go, and a noble kicked the bucket under seriously shady circumstances. The public is, naturally, losing its collective mind. Some are screaming it's an invasion, others are proclaiming it's the wrath of a god. But nope, the truth is way more personal and a whole lot messier. The mastermind behind all this unhinged vengeance was none other than the head of the noble family, Marquis Ignat. So, what sent this guy on a one-man rampage? Classic villain origin story, my friends. His daughter was death's door, needing some super rare medicine made from the organs of a wolfen. But when he begged the emperor for help, the imperial family basically said, "Sorry, those are our emergency organs, can't help ya." As a result, the Marquis's daughter passed away. And just like that, the emperor's perfectly logical decision created a monster fueled by pure resentment. Cut to the man himself, the emperor, trying to enjoy a nice cup of tea in the garden. His butler asks him what he thought of Len Ashton. The butler is hyping our boy up, saying Len has a value that can't be replaced with gold, and the emperor doesn't disagree. Taking a sip, The emperor calls it a good story. He even admits that thanks to whatever went down, his frustration has cooled off a bit. His butler starts to say something, clearly worried, but the emperor cuts him off. He knows full well why he denied the marquis the ingredients. It was to protect his own family. He gets the logic, but he makes it crystal clear that understanding something and accepting it are two very, very different things. Suddenly, a voice calls out, "Father." A young woman rushes into the garden, followed by another, calling out to a man named Edgar. "You came back," she exclaims. The butler to offer her a hand, but she's all, "Nah, I gotta get stronger myself." He then gently scolds her, basically saying, "My lady, please refrain from speaking so casually to us peasants. A little tone-deaf, my dude." The dark-haired girl immediately pipes up, saying she wants to go visit Len Ashton and thank him personally. Edgar agrees but says Baron Clausel told them to wait. Not taking no for an answer, she asks, "Then how about a letter?" But Edgar is firm, telling her to be patient and respect the Baron's wishes for now. She reluctantly agrees, looking pretty bummed out. But don't count her out yet. She looks to the sky and makes a solemn vow. "Someday, I'll definitely meet you and thank you." You just know her feelings are gonna reach our main man, one way or another. Alright, let's dive right in. Our boy Len is in his room not sleeping, but staring at a shiny new toy, the Sirachia's blue pearl. And this ain't just some pretty rock, it's an egg. An egg so ridiculously durable that no sword can scratch it, and it's currently slurping up his magic like a smoothie. According to his gamer memories, this thing is supposed to hatch a monster with ice and darkness powers that gave the Demon King a run for his money. Nobody in the game ever figured out how to hatch it, so it was just a super expensive paperweight. But before this guy can cook up a plan, there's a knock at the door. And who should appear but the White Saint herself, Lycia Clausel. She immediately spots the glowing orb of doom. Our main man plays it cool, claiming some chief wolven must have dropped it. A likely story. Lycia, being surprisingly savvy, points out that since a crazy strong monster is sleeping inside and the egg is indestructible, it's probably safer with him anyway. Sensing an opportunity, Len mentions he's feeling better and thinking about hitting the road. Ly immediately asks how long he's planning to stick around. Our hopeless hero throws out a number, asking if meeting 1,000 times would be enough. Without missing a beat, Lycia's eyes light up. "At least 1,000 times should be fine," she says, basically signing him up for a 3-year subscription to their friendship. This guy does the math and realizes that's nearly 3 years of daily meetups. Her dad has already offered him the room, so there's literally no escape. Lycia gets all flustered, trying to brush it off, before pulling out the ultimate weapon, the puppy dog eyes. She begs him to stay just a little longer. And just like that, our boy folds like a cheap suit. So begins the daily routine of our unsuspecting lead living his best life. He's training with Lycia, going shopping for fancy new clothes on her dad's dime, and just generally enjoying the high life. But the good times get interrupted when news hits that the Imperial Knights are in town. The head butler, Weiss, explains that a famous knight has arrived to check out Lycia's skills with the Holy Sword technique, and invites Len to watch. This technique is apparently the go-to for anyone not blessed with a natural-born combat skill. You just pump in some magic power, and boom, you get instant combat skills. It's basically a cheat code for the less talented. Len, however, knows his gamer brain can't just copy-paste moves like that. Weiss admits he wasn't suited for it either, but offers to teach Len the Imperial style. Fun fact, in the game, Lycia was a master of the Holy Sword technique, a Sword Saint, which is just one step below the legendary Sword King rank. There are only 5 Sword Kings in the entire world, a title for those who've mastered everything. Then Weiss brings up the one style that gives our boy traumatic flashbacks, Gokengji, a brutal, enemy-exclusive technique from the game that was impossible for players to learn. The users were already unhinged, and fighting them would permanently nerf your stats. The memories alone make his soul want to exit his body. They arrive at the training grounds to see Lycia and some new pretty boy knight. Lycia spots Len and happily invites him to join the fun. Len tries to politely decline, but the new guy, the commander, has already heard about Len's promising talent. The pressure is officially on. Before our hero can protest, the commander challenges him to some light sparring. He tosses Len a sword. The fight is on. Blades clash in a blur of motion. This absolute unit is actually holding his own against the commander, parrying and dodging like a pro. But the commander calls him out, telling him to stop mimicking the Holy Sword style and fight for real. Message received. Len takes a new stance, and then absolutely explodes in a chaotic flurry of attacks that fills the entire panel. The commander is completely stunned, forced on the defensive. He gets blasted backward, leaving everyone speechless. Len stands his ground, perfectly balanced. The commander can't believe it. He tried to break Len's defense and failed completely. After Len properly introduces himself, the commander delivers his verdict. The Holy Sword technique is not for him. Lycia is bewildered, shouting that Len is obviously super strong. The commander agrees but says the problem is suitability. He explains that Len's fighting style is too fierce, too aggressive. His natural instincts would get in the way of learning the proper techniques. In fact, he says it would be better if Len didn't learn it at all. Then, in a massive power move, he offers to teach Len the basics. The absolute disrespect. Later, Wise confronts the commander, who reveals the truth. He recognized Len's style. It's a different, more dangerous swordsmanship, and he was trying to steer Len away from it. Back in the room, Lycia is clearly upset. She has a habit of playing with her hair when she's grumpy, and Len calls her out on it. She's furious because the commander's words made it sound like Len had no talent at all. Our main man just tells her not to worry about it. Lycia then confesses that the commander told her Ashet has a similar bad habit in her fighting style. Because she'd been studying Len's moves to try and beat him, she'd started to copy him. For her, he said, it was still correctable, but she feels like her entire life's goal is being invalidated, and she refuses to accept it. Len tries to reassure her, saying they can find another style that suits her better. He tells her with total confidence that she'll master her technique one day. He asks how she'd feel if someone told her to abandon everything her father taught her. He says, in that, they are the same. This hits home for Lycia. She explains that her father wanted her to be free and find her own path, to become someone her late mother would be proud of, but correcting her ingrained habits is hard and feels like a waste of time. And in that moment, Len has a breakthrough. He realizes Lycia isn't just a game character anymore. She's a real person, with her own dreams and struggles. So this guy makes a new promise. He tells her he'll find a school of swordsmanship that's perfect for her. 'Cause this isn't about clearing a game anymore. As he puts it, it's our future, you know. Alright, let's dive into the chaos. We open on a cryptic emblem, hinting at a lost chapter in history. A story unfolding under the watchful eyes of a shadowy network. The scene is set under a massive, full moon, casting an eerie glow on a fancy-looking mansion. But inside, Fiona is putting in the work, taking shaky steps as she tries to walk on her own. Her legs finally give out, and she nearly eats dirt before her maid catches her in a panic. Even after falling, she's not giving up. She apologizes, pushing herself to keep going, admitting she's behind her peers and has to work harder. This is a whole new Fiona, one who spent way too much time stuck in bed. She begs her maid to let her keep trying, promising she'll stop before she gets hurt. And what's her motivation? The ultimate goal is to one day stand on her own 2 feet and thank the person who made it all possible. She remembers the endless days tormented by pain, a living nightmare she thought would never end. Her inspiration is, of course, our boy Len, the absolute unit who set her free. Meanwhile, her father is watching the whole ordeal from a window above, looking like a proud, slightly creepy gargoyle. He comes down to meet them, praising his daughter for a splendid job. Fiona is just happy she can walk at all, finding the praise a little embarrassing. But Dad came bearing gifts. He pulls out a letter, telling her it's from the Imperial Military Academy. Her face drops. This is it, the results of the preliminary exam she took last month. Her soul basically leaves her body as she nervously scans the page, and she passed. The relief is immediate and immense. Her father, however, decides it's time to troll. He turns to the maid and asks, "You thought she'd pass, right?" The maid, ever loyal, confirms that Fiona was studying like a maniac even when her health was garbage. Dad just grins and goes, "That's how it is. Besides, it's just the prelims. I only care about the final exam." The sheer savagery. Fiona is completely bewildered. Jez, he grabs her hand, telling her to try a little harder, because thanking Len Ashton would be for nothing if she gets hurt. She can only blush and grumble in response. Speaking of our main man, the scene shifts to the sprawling capital city. The Baron Clausel is having a little chat with Len, asking him what he wants to do from here on out. He offers Len a place as a knight in his household, a pretty sweet gig. The Baron can tell something's on this guy's mind, and tells him to spit it out. Len finally admits his biggest fear, that the unhinged Viscount might come after him again, and he's not keen on returning to a village that could be targeted because of him. The Baron nods grimly. Turns out, he's already heard about the Viscount's unusual obsession with Len. In fact, Fiona's dad Roy had already come to him with the exact same concern, worried that a noble could easily target Len. The Baron's advice? Just lay low at the Clausel mansion until the village reconstruction is done. No need to rush things. Our hopeless hero feels a bit down, thinking it's an impossible wish for a commoner's son to solve everything with his own strength. But the Baron shuts that down immediately. "It's not impossible," he says, pointing a finger. "You just need to become someone who even the nobles find unreasonable to mess with." He lays out the power scale. To be above a high noble, you'd basically have to marry into the imperial family, or become something even more legendary. The Sword King. Len's eyes go wide with shock. He knows that title. The Baron explains there are 5 of these absolute monsters in the world, the strongest swordsmen to ever exist. These guys are so powerful they operate outside the laws of any nation. They're walking natural disasters, the kind of final bosses that even max-level heroes need a ridiculous amount of luck to beat. For now, the Baron promises to take care of all Lin's living expenses, but our boy is too proud for handouts and insists on finding work. He asks if there's any job similar to what he used to do. You know, just a little light monster subjugation. The Baron confirms exactly what he had in mind. The job involves keeping an eye on local monsters, culling them when needed, and filing reports. Plus, he can take on extra requests at the Adventurers Guild. And so, our boy heads to the guild. He pushes open the doors to a loud, rowdy tavern filled with grizzled warriors and shady-looking elves. The whole room goes quiet as everyone turns to stare at the fresh meat that just walked in. Undeterred, his absolute unit walks right up to the counter and asks to register. The receptionist is a bit skeptical but starts the process. She's stunned when he fills out the paperwork perfectly and already has the registration fee ready. "Is it really your first time?" she asks, completely baffled by his competence. He gets his brand new, bottom-of-the-barrel G-rank card. With a confident smile, he tells her he already knows all the rules because he, read a book. What a concept. He then moseys over to the quest board to scope out the local work. It's mostly E and F rank garbage. Strong monsters are rare in this territory, but then he spots a D-rank quest. Suddenly, two figures approach him from behind. Is the hero dono concerned about that? It's the cat-eared swordsman and his buddy from before. They compliment his splendid takedown of the foolish Viscount, but then they drop a warning: "You should probably stop doing that." The Wolfman explains that the D-rank monster, a steel-eating gargoyle, is deceptively powerful and its counterattack is no joke. These things are normally chill, but special carnivorous ones are a whole other level of problem. Len weighs his options. The materials would be crazy valuable, enough to maybe get a new magic sword. He heads out into the forest to start the grind. A quick status check reveals his magic sword summoning skill has hit level 3. The perks: he can now summon TPWO magic swords at the same time. This is gonna be epic. He spots his first victim, a rabid-looking F-rank rabbit bolts from the bushes. Without missing a beat, our main man summons his iron magic sword for offense, and his wooden magic sword for support. The wooden sword unleashes a torrent of vines, instantly trapping the rabbit. A perfect combo. The forest echoes with the squeaks of his many victims. Another status screen shows his wooden magic sword has already maxed out its level. This guy takes a quick sandwich break, already planning his next level-up strategy like a true gamer. Later, Len strolls back into town. He's dragging a comically huge ball of monsters, all neatly bundled up in vines. The two adventurers who warned him are completely speechless. "This is amazing." The guild receptionist's jaw hits the floor. "Is it all right to purchase everything?" He presents his haul, including 2 E-rank earthworms. The payout is ridiculous. A massive pile of gold coins. Our boy just made 600,000 G in a single day, which is about 60 times the hourly wage for a commoner. And what's the first thing he does with his newfound wealth? He heads straight for a high-end tailor shop. The owner even recognizes him from his visit with Lycia. 1 month later, Lycia is having a full-blown meltdown finding Len packing his belongings. "You're moving. Where are you moving?" He calms her down, explaining he's not leaving, just moving into the old mansion on the estate. He's now officially a member of the Ashton family and her servant, tasked with managing the old building. Lycia is flustered, complaining that she didn't hear anything about this. Just then, a maid arrives with a delivery for Len from that fancy store. He takes the box, opens it, and reveals a gorgeous, pure white dress. Lycia's brain freezes completely. He pulls the dress from the box. "F for me?" she stammers. "Yes," our hopeless hero says with a gentle smile. "I bought it the day I earned money for the first time." She's absolutely floored, reaching out to touch the delicate fabric. "So cute." Then this guy with a completely straight face says, "If you don't get, I'll get another one." "Bro, are you trying to kill her with kindness?" Tears well up in her eyes. She clutches the dress to her chest if her life depends on it. She whispers, "I'm not giving it back." He just smiles, oblivious to the emotional damage he's just inflicted, wondering if she liked it. Lycia is a blushing, teary mess. "How unfair," she says. "Did you think you could forgive me with just a gift?" She tries to explain that everything is happening so fast she hasn't had time to prepare her heart for this level of wholesomeness. It's just too much for her to handle. "Alright, let's get this show on the road." Our boy is out cold, staring up at the stars. But this ain't no peaceful slumber. He's trapped in a nightmare, reliving a scene from some ancient legend. The dream focuses on Cronoa Highland, the world's certified greatest wizard, who met a rather unfortunate end. Because she was apparently killed by none other than Len Ashton. Yeah, or Len Ashton. And this isn't just some random lore drop. The dream helpfully explains that Crono was the headmaster of the Imperial Military Academy, a total powerhouse on par with the legendary Sword Kings. So how did some dude named Len beat her? Total mystery. Our main man jolts awake completely freaked out. Horrible dream is the understatement of the century, my guy. Realizing he's the main character in a potential tragedy, he makes a brilliant executive decision. Avoid the imperial capital and its spooky academy at all costs. After a bit of coffee to shake off the impending doom, this absolute unit heads into town. The locals are all smiles, calling him Mr. Hero. He's clearly the town's golden boy. He makes his way over to the Adventurers Guild, the classic hotspot for quests and chaos. Our hero's just trying to find a simple gig on the request board, when his stomach betrays him with a massive growl. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the tavern noise. What a cute sound. It's a shady, hooded figure who's clearly been eavesdropping. Without missing a beat, they invite him over for breakfast on them. Now, don't know about you, but a mysterious stranger offering free food is basically red flag city. Boy tries to be polite, saying he's got cash, but the figure points out the lack of seats. It's either share a table or stand around awkwardly. He agrees, noticing she doesn't seem like a local. They into a hearty meal, and our guy tries to make small talk, complimenting her for being a regular. She just cackles, saying his voice is the one that sounds mature, and he immediately picks up on something weird. Her voice sounds magically altered. She admits she approached him on a whim, mostly because his stomach sounded so pathetic. Then she flips the script and asks what he thinks of her. Her follow-up, "I'm thinking about how to kidnap you." The sheer audacity. Our hopeless hero's soul just leaves his body for a second. He nervously laughs it off, but she was just joking. Probably. Then she drops the real offer. Come with her to the imperial capital, the one place he swore he'd never go. He shuts that so fast it probably gave her whiplash. Nope, not happening. For the meal, says she has to leave, and wishes they could meet again. But as she walks away, she delivers the final blow. Next time, I'll teach you about the strange power you have. Is absolutely bewildered. He immediately bolts after her, his mind racing. How does she know about his secret demon sword summoning ability? He scans the busy street, but she's vanished into thin air like a ninja. Before he can even process this unhinged encounter, some familiar faces pop up. It's a couple of senior adventurers inviting him on a hunt in the eastern forest to babysit some newbies. It's not an official escort quest, just a friendly offer. But this guy's already got a job from the local baron, so he has to pass. They say their goodbyes, none the wiser to the chaotic breakfast interview he just survived. Left alone, he can't stop thinking about the mysterious woman. But work is work. He gets back to his own quest, which involves fighting a massive, toothy land shark monster. He makes quick work of it, slicing the beast clean in half. With the monster neatly packaged, he's already counting the cash he's gonna make. He plans on using the money to buy his family some nice magic tools. What a stand-up guy, thinking of his family in the middle of all this madness. But the peaceful moment is shattered by a distant roar. The entire ground starts to quake and split apart like a cheap movie set. This is bad. Very, very bad. We cut to those same senior adventurers, and they are not having a good time. They're fighting a winged, armored demon that's shrugging off their attacks. The rookies are already down for the count, completely wiped out. This thing is on another level. It smacks one guy so hard his shield nearly shatters, and then immediately claws the other one, sending him flying. They are getting obliterated. Just as things look hopeless, our hero arrives on the scene. He recognized that roar. It's a steel-eating gargoyle, a monster that has absolutely no business being this close to town. Seeing his friends getting pummeled, this absolute unit doesn't hesitate. He tells them to get the rookies and run while he stalls for time. The adventurers gratefully retreat. Our boy unleashes a burst of speed, closing the distance in an instant and clashing with the gargoyle head-on. His sword just scrapes against its ridiculously tough hide. Time for Plan B. He summons demonic vines from his blade, which wrap around the beast and squeeze with crushing force. The monster shrieks in pain, giving him an opening to land a clean strike. He notes that while it's a D-rank monster, it's a total lightweight compared to other monsters he's fought. He continues to press the attack, a blur of motion and steel. But just as the gargoyle on the ropes, a shadow falls over him. A second gargoyle dive bombs him from the sky. Our hero is completely blindsided. The retreating adventurers can only watch in horror. Now he's not facing one, but two of these unhinged metal beasts at once. The real fight has just begun, and our main man is officially in deep, deep trouble. Alright, let's dive right in. Our boy is staring not one, but two absolute units of armored gargoyles, and things are looking spicy. He was told there'd only be one of these bad boys, but it looks like the universe decided to throw a BOGO sale on monsters today. This unsuspecting lead is in a serious pickle, dodging and weaving between two chaotic beasts that want to turn him into a chew toy. He barely sidesteps a claw that could have easily rearranged his internal organs. Realizing that bolting is not an option, because these unhinged creatures will just go after the civilians, our hero decides it's time to get serious. Without missing a beat, he unleashes a torrent of vines, completely trapping one of the gargoyles. That's one down for now. The other one, clearly not a fan of its buddy getting turned into a chiapette, swings wildly, but our main man is too quick. He yeets himself into the air, muttering a quick sorry, before bringing his blade down, and I mean, is it ALL, the way down? With a single epic slash, he cleaves the gargoyle clean in half. The monster's armor shatters like cheap glass. It lets out one last screech before it's officially deleted from the server. But whoops, the force of the blow also obliterates his sword, which explodes into a shower of light. Just when you think he's disarmed, a brand new, shiny demon sword materializes in his hand. Level 1, fresh out of the box. The other gargoyle, having finally shredded its viney prison, is now extremely ticked off. It lets out a furious roar and charges forward like a freight train, slamming its massive claw down. But our guy isn't even flinching. He just holds up his new toy, and a massive spherical barrier erupts around him, effortlessly blocking the attack. This ain't just any sword, it's Demon Sword of Shields. The monster is completely bewildered, watching its attack get stonewalled by a magical bubble. Our hero gives it a stone-cold glare, and then proceeds to unleash a wave of power so ridiculous it carves a permanent chasm into the freaking landscape. The rest of the party, watching from a safe distance, is completely speechless. Their jaws are on the floor. The wolf-eared dude can barely process what just happened. When the dust finally settles, the scene is one of absolute devastation. There stands our boy, casually holding his sword amidst the wreckage of two high-level monsters. The party leader is just like, "Mr. Hero, yeah dude, he did that." Everyone is just huffing and puffing in disbelief. The city guards finally show up, fashionably late as always, and they are shook. These are steel-eating gargoyles, and there are TPWO of them. One of them turns to our main man, asking if he took them down all by himself. Our hero, ever the humble one, tries to explain that he didn't fight the first one alone, but the wolf bro cuts in, basically telling him to shut up and take the credit. He's already contacted the guild and confirmed Len gets the entire massive reward. Speaking of rewards, our boy mentally checks his stats. Not only did he get a boatload of experience points from the gargoyles, but his brand new Demon Sword of Shields also leveled up. He clenches his fist, feeling the gains. I wonder if I've gotten a bit stronger, he thinks. You just carved a new valley, I think you're doing okay. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls his name. It's Lycia, and she looks horrified, pointing right at him and asking, "Where did you get those wounds?" Our hopeless hero is caught completely off guard. She rushes over to check on him, relieved that the cuts aren't too deep. He's just standing there silent and confused. He thought she'd be mad at him for fighting, but she just smiles warmly and tells him he did something amazing and that he should be proud of his courage for saving so many people. He tries to downplay it, saying he fought on his own volition, but she admits that, while she was worried, she couldn't be angry. She was just really worried about him. Our boy's heart just did a backflip. She invites him to have dinner at the main residence as a thank you. He asks if there's anything he can do to apologize for causing her to worry. She tells him not to sweat it, but then she drops the real proposal. "I'm planning to visit a few villages soon. Will you come with me?" Without a second of hesitation, our main man just smiles and says, "Understood. Alright, let's dive right back into the chaos." We open on a grand estate where some serious political chess is being played. A knight delivers a report from the field, but the real action is inside, where our favorite puppet master, Weiss, is getting the lowdown. The forecast: it's going to be a ridiculously cold winter, but Weiss isn't worried about the weather. He's got bigger, uglier things on his mind. He casually asks about the whole steel-eating gargoyle situation. The commander reports that, according to the Adventurers Guild, the beasts were practically skin and bones, driven mad by hunger. The old man connects the dots, realizing that the price of certain minerals, the gargoyle's main food source, dropped recently. Someone's been trolling the entire monster ecosystem. Weiss just sighs. He knows exactly who's pulling the strings, but proving it is a whole other can of worms. You can practically feel the tactical frustration radiating off him. Meanwhile, in a completely different conversation, we get little insight into our main man Len. Turns out he was shockingly bad with the Holy Sword technique. But hold on, don't come out yet. The theory is that this absolute unit might have the talent for something called the Strong Sword technique, which sounds way cooler anyway. A few days later, our unsuspecting lead is out on an expedition with Lycia, touring the local villages. Things are going great until his horse decides to give him a giant, slobbery kiss right on the face. A knight chuckles, noting the horse has finally accepted Len as its master, but Lycia points out that the horse has been a total sweetheart from the get-go. Len, ever the kind soul, figures it just had a rough life before, and that's when the knight drops a bombshell. This isn't just any horse. It's baby with monster blood flowing through its veins, and it's gonna get a lot bigger. Lycia is over the moon, realizing her and Len's new pet will be with them for a long time. She leans in and tells him he better pick a good name for their future battle steed. No pressure. Just then a maid pulls our boy aside, happy to hear he'll be staying in town, and then she hits him with the ultimate social challenge. Lycia's birthday party is coming up. You can see the gears turning in his head as he realizes it's next month. Without missing a beat, this guy is already planning the perfect gift. What a champ. The crew rolls into a village and gets a warm welcome from the locals. Len immediately pitches in, hauling crates like it's just another Tuesday. Later that night, Lycia points out their next destination on a map. Len realizes they're right next to the infamous Baldur Mountains. He mutters that it should be fine as long as a certain shady marquise doesn't start anything. Bro, you just jinxed it. And cue the epic lore dump. Turns out, the Marquis Ignart once used these very mountains to try and destroy the 7 heroes. His weapon of choice, a demon stone, from a legendary red dragon named Asvel. This ancient beast was basically a god-tier lizard who understood human speech and was always looking for a good scrap. But the Demon King's power drove it completely unhinged, forcing the heroes to take it down. Its body melted and formed a volcano, which eventually cooled in the Baldur Mountains we see today. Deep inside, however, one thing remained: Asvel's demon stone. And of course, the ever-scheming Marquis Ignart got his hands on it, using its residual power to create an army of superpowered monsters. We get a glimpse of his pure, unfiltered rage as he screams about how the world wronged him. Total villain monologue Son of One. Back in the present, Iroh can't shake a bad feeling as he stares at those cursed peaks. As they arrive at the next village, a local approaches with a problem. He explains that the river is getting blocked by fallen trees upstream, cutting off their water supply. The villagers tried to move them, but the logs were just too heavy. Before the knights can even volunteer, our hopeless hero steps up. "You want me to deal with it?" He casually explains that the knights have enough on their plate, so he'll handle this little task. The villager is completely bewildered. This kid wants to move massive trees all by himself? The commander just grins, claps Len on the back, and basically says, "Don't worry, it's his Len Ashton. He's built different." Suddenly it clicks for the entire village. This isn't just some kid, he's the hero from the rumors. As they all start fangirling, our main man gets adorably embarrassed, much to Lycia's amusement. Alright, let's dive in. Our boy Ren and Lady Lycia are finally getting a moment of peace, just chilling out and enjoying the sky together. It's a sweet, calm scene before the inevitable chaos. A few days later, a massive convoy rolls back toward the capital. The expedition is officially over, which means it's time to prep for the biggest event of the season: Lady Lycia's birthday party. Workers are unloading mountains of crates and supplies, and everyone is chipping in. And by everyone, I mean our main man is doing the work of 10 people. While others are struggling with boxes, Absolute Unit casually hoists a barrel the size of a small car. The maids just stare, their jaws on the floor, as he lifts it like it's filled with packing peanuts. What a ridiculous flex. Suddenly, Lycia herself dashes onto the scene, frantically digging through the supplies. She finds a small case she was looking for. But her victory is short-lived, because she turns around and sees Ren staring right at her. Her soul instantly vacates her body. She stammers some unhinged excuse about having to take care of something and then just bolts. Totally not suspicious at all. This little encounter sparks a horrifying realization in our hopeless hero. He completely forgot to get her a birthday present. Panicked, he starts wandering the city streets, desperately trying to come up with a plan. He considers a ring but immediately dismisses it. Too intense, too soon. "Good call, my dude," read the room. Just then, he sees a white hawk soaring overhead, and a light bulb goes off. He's gonna get her a platinum feather. It's an ultra-rare material that shines like pure silver and comes from a white hawk monster. The only tiny problem is, you can't just waltz into a shop and buy something that legendary. As he's stressing, a familiar voice calls out. It's Weiss, the hero with the cat ears, asking what's got him so worked up. Ren explains his epic, last-minute quest for the perfect gift, and they sit down to strategize. Weiss confirms that this is a pretty insane thing to try and find on short notice. He explains that the platinum feather is magical. The moment you defeat a white hawk, the magic vanishes, and the feather just becomes a normal, boring feather. The only way to get the real deal is to collect them after they fall off naturally, which takes the birds several years to regrow. Talk about a low drop rate. Weiss suggests a trading company, but with the birthday less than a month away, that's not gonna work. But this guy isn't giving up. He decides he'll just go find the hawks himself. Impressed by his resolve, Weiss decides to be an absolute bro and drops a major intel bomb. He knows exactly where a flock passes through. Our boy's face lights up. The mission is a go. Ren heads back to the mansion later that day and finds Lycia on the grand staircase, looking completely drained of energy. When he asks what's wrong, she gets all flustered and blames it on using too much holy magic, which is the fanciest way of saying mind your own business. She quickly dodges his questions, leaving Ren totally bewildered. The next day, it's hunting time. Ren ventures deep into the forest, following Weiss's map. He finds the perfect ambush spot, yeets a climbing spike into a massive tree, and scales it to set up a perch. To complete his super stealth setup, he douses himself in smell-erasing perfume. This guy is not messing around. He remembers Weiss's final instructions. The hawk's favorite food is the red berries on a specific tree. Now, any normal adventurer would have to wait for days, hoping a single feather might fall. But our boy's plan is a little more direct. He's just gonna seize their consciousness while their magic is stable and make them drop their feathers. You know, a totally normal and sane ability. Why grind when you can just hack the system? Right on cue, the sky fills with a massive flock of white hawks. They descend with a powerful screech, a living storm of white wings. Ren watches from his hiding spot, his eyes locked on the prize. The birds swarm the berry tree, just as the prophecy foretold. Even with hundreds of them, the chances of finding a naturally fallen feather are slim to none. Ren knows he has no room for error. He watches patiently as the birds begin to feast on the berries. If this doesn't work, he's going to have to gift her a very nice-looking rock. The hawks are completely oblivious, just enjoying their meal. Ren's eyes narrow, focusing his ridiculous power. He scans the flock, picking his targets. He waits for the perfect moment, and then he snaps. One of the hawks just freezes mid-bite, its eyes going completely blank. A second later, a shower of perfect, shimmering platinum feathers rains down from the sky. Mission accomplished with zero effort. This guy is a menace. A few weeks later, it's the night of the grand party. Our main man is looking incredibly sharp in a tailored suit. He's clearly not used to the high society life, but he's pulling it off. He enters the dazzling ballroom, where Lord Weiss greets him with a compliment, saying he has the dignity of the hero's ruin. Suddenly, the massive doors at the top of the stairs swing open. The entire room falls silent. Ren turns, his expression full of curiosity. A single, elegant high-heeled shoe steps into view. It's Lycia, escorted by her father, the Duke. The entire party is speechless as she descends the stairs. The camera pans up, and oh my god, the crowd can only applaud. Her hair, her gown, everything is absolutely perfect. She is sparkling. This isn't just a lady. This is a full-blown saintess making her grand entrance. She walks right up to Ren, a hopeful look on her face, and asks, "How do I look?" Our boy, completely captivated, just says, "It suits you perfectly." And you know what, he's absolutely right. Alright, let's dive right into this absolute banger of a party. The mood is set, the champagne is flowing, and everyone is celebrating the birthday of the saint herself, Lycia. It's a high-class affair, with toasts and good vibes all around. Our boy Len is chatting with the head butler, trying to figure out the game plan for giving gifts. He figures he should go first, get it over with, you know? But the butler just looks at him with this ridiculously smug grin and says no. Apparently, our main man is going dead last after all the servants. The sheer disrespect. Len is understandably baffled. The old man cackles, saying he never thought he'd see our boy act like a normal, flustered young man. Meanwhile, our hero's stomach is doing backflips. First up, the knights present their gift. They got Lycia a full set of top-tier training equipment from the capital, which is honestly a pretty sick present. She's totally stoked. It's finally our unsuspecting lead's turn. The anxiety is palpable. But wait, plot twist. Lycia's father steps in to give his gift first. She's all smiles, of course. The butler gives a half-hearted apology for the mix-up, but our boy sees right through it. This old dude is 100% trolling him. Defeated, this guy just accepts his fate. He's going last, but he decides it doesn't even matter anymore. He steals his nerves, a new look of determination on his face. It's go time. He steps up, wishes Lycia a happy birthday, and hands her a small, unassuming box. Lycia clutches the gift to her chest. It's the most precious thing in the world. Her face is all right red, as she says she'll be happy with anything as long as it's from him. Our man plays it cool, but tells her she might want to see it first. She carefully opens the box, and a soft light spills out. The entire ballroom seems to hold its breath. Her eyes go wide. Inside is a single, impossibly beautiful feather, a platinum feather. The crowd absolutely erupts. People are losing their minds. The butler and Lycia's dad are completely stunned. This is an item so rare you could search the entire world and never find one. Lycia has tears streaming down her face, but they're tears of pure joy. She whispers that at this rate, she's going to die from happiness. Without missing a beat, our boy leans in and says, "I don't really want you to die, so maybe I should have brought something else." The absolute smoothest line in history. She just clutches the gift, refusing to ever give it back. After the main event, The party gets into full swing with music and a ridiculous feast. Of course, everyone wants to know how this guy got his hands on a legendary item. He just shrugs it off, claiming he got lucky in the forest, but a quick flashback reveals the truth. Him expertly dodging and taking down a massive griffin-like beast to claim his prize. Luck, my foot. This absolute unit is just built different. Suddenly, Lycia sneaks up behind him and pokes him in the back. She whispers, asking if he can spare some time for her after the party. Our boy is a little confused, but hey, who's he to say no? Later that night, they're alone on a balcony overlooking the city. Lycia is holding the platinum feather in her hair, and it looks amazing. She tells him that spending her birthday like this feels like a dream. But then, she turns the tables completely and presents him with a gift. Our hero is bewildered. It's her birthday, what is happening? She says she picked it because it suited him the most. He recognizes the box but can't quite place it. She just urges him to open it. He sets the case down and unlatches it. Inside is a stunningly crafted short sword. The gears in his head start turning, and he remembers the sword she lent him. The one he lost during a fight. This is a replacement, but it gets even crazier. He realizes the sword isn't just regular metal. It's a magic tool pulsing with power. Lycia shyly admits she poured all of her magic into it. Day after day, she filled it with her holy magic, hoping it would be useful to him. And just like that, it all clicks for our main man. All those times she looked exhausted and tired. This was the reason. He grips the sword, feeling the immense power within it. He tells her he's happy, truly grateful. But he has to ask, why give him a gift on her birthday? Her face instantly explodes in a blush. She stammers that she wanted to celebrate his birthday too, but his is in the spring, and she just couldn't wait another year to give him something. It's the most roundabout, adorable confession ever. Our hopeless hero can't help but laugh, which only makes her more flustered. He smiles and says it looks like they both did their best for today. Looking out at the stars, he says something that changes everything. Surprisingly, we're pretty alike. Please, take care of me in the future as well. The effect is immediate. Lycia starts crying. This guy is completely lost now. In the future? Why are you crying? With tears of joy streaming down her face, she reminds him that he always used to talk about going home. By saying in the future, he just told her he's planning on staying. Before he can even ask what she's talking about, she puts a finger to her lips, a brilliant, happy smile breaking through the tears. It's a secret. She'll take his word for it, and she is simply overjoyed. All right. Let's dive right in. We a few months after Lycia's birthday, jumping over to the massive city of Ubeheim. A mysterious figure in a white cloak rolls up to the ridiculously fancy gates of the Marquis Ignart's mansion. You know, just your average Tuesday stroll. The gate guard, bless his heart, steps up to do his job. Pardon me, miss, but do you have an appointment? Our mystery guest just whispers a quick sorry, and then proceeds to unleash the most devastatingly casual flex of all time, the slow-motion hood removal and hair flip. The guard's soul immediately vacates his body. His brain blue screens as he stammers out a frantic apology. She, on the other hand, is a picture of calm, popping on an absurdly large wizard hat and basically saying, "It's cool, my dude. I'm the one trying to be incognito here." She struts up to the main entrance, where a butler opens the door looking like he just saw a ghost. And who's waiting inside? None other than the man himself, Marquis Ulysses Ignart. It turns out our hooded visitor is the headmaster of the Imperial Military Academy, Lady Chronoa. Oh, and just a tiny little detail. She's also the world's greatest wizard, Chronoa Highland. No big deal. The Marquise tries to play it cool, welcoming her even though she just dropped in completely unannounced. After some tea and sweets are ordered, the Marquise cuts to the chase. "So, I heard you were out of town on business. What brings you here?" Chronoa just gives him a cheeky little smile. "Oh, you knew. That's a secret." The Marquise is clearly not in the mood for games and pushes for a real answer. That's when Chronoa drops the bomb. "I actually want to hear about Len's story." And bam! The friendly atmosphere evaporates. The Marquis's face turns to stone. He hits her back with a dead serious, "May I ask for your reason?" He wants to know exactly why she's digging for information on Len Ashton. Chronoa claims she owes a great deal to both the Ashton and Clausel families, but the Marquis is sharp. He points out that when his own daughter, Fiona, was sick, the Clausels helped because Chronoa pointed them in their direction. He lays it out plain and simple. "I can't rest easy giving you info on him without knowing why you want it." The trust levels are at absolute zero right now. The tension is insane. Realizing she's hit a brick wall, Chronoa changes her tune, flashing a brilliant, disarming smile. Sorry. I'll explain properly. So don't be so wary." The Marquis has his butler Edgar give a report on what went down. Apparently, Edgar was unable to describe Fiona's condition very well, because our absolute unit, Len, was acting as a human shield, completely covered in wounds to protect her from harm. A true hero. Just then, Fiona Ignart herself walks in looking 1,000 times better. She's all smiles, thanking Chronoa and saying she feels stronger every day. She's just happy to be up, talking with everyone again. Chronoa decides it's time for a proper checkup. In Fiona's room, Chrono checks her magic. The verdict is in. Fiona's all clear and doesn't need any more medicine. There's just one critical rule. She is never, ever allowed to take off the necklace Chronoa gave her. Chronoa then spots the brand new academy uniform on a mannequin. Fiona admits she's already had it adjusted, trying to prepare early. Chronoa hypes her up, winking and saying she'll look amazing in it. But Fiona's confidence wavers. She admits she can't really imagine herself as a student. After being sick and stuck in her room for so long, the thought of navigating the capital and making friends is completely overwhelming her. Chronoa gives her a warm, reassuring look. "It'll be alright. I know that you're a good girl, Fiona." She her to the mirror. "Imagine it," she says. "You wearing the uniform, eating together, laughing with your friends, enjoying your life. There's no need to be scared of anything from now on." As Fiona stares at her reflection, something wild happens. She gets a full-blown vision. She's in her uniform, walking through the bustling city, holding hands with a boy. It's a flash of a happy future. Strolling side by side with our boy Len. The vision ends and Fiona's face goes supernova red. She starts waving her hands frantically. It's nothing. Please don't mean me." Internally she's having a complete meltdown thinking, "I'm so embarrassed to imagine myself with someone I've never even met her. Oh honey, if you only knew." Later that night, it's time for Chronoa to leave. As they walk, she drops another piece of intel, mentioning she scouted the Baldur Mountains. It was a potential exam site but got scrapped. Apparently, the cliffs are too steep, and it gets way too cold, basically a death trap for students. The Marquis questions why she's telling him state secrets, but before he can get a straight answer, they reach the gate. Chronoa announces she's leaving the country and won't be back for a whole year. Her destination? The Holy Land. Turns out the Silver Saint Palace is undergoing renovations, and because the place is packed with holy relics and powerful seals, every nation is sending their top people. Of course she's on the list. In her absence, the school will be run by the shady board of directors. The Marquis basically says, "Sounds like a headache, have fun." Suddenly Chronoa realizes she's late. "Wait, I really have to go now." She shouts one last message over her shoulder. "Please tell Fiona I'll be cheering her on for the final exam." The Marquis wishes her well, and she disappears into the night. And what's her ride? Oh, just a ridiculously epic magic airship, soaring off in front of a full moon. And with that, the world's greatest wizard is off the board for an entire year. Alright, let's dive right in. Our boy Ryoma gets his morning started with a special delivery. A woman from the guild informs him that he's been nominated for a rather specific request. The mission is to escort a certain Sir Kai. Our main man is understandably bewildered, since, HES Sir Kai. Before he can even process this, the hero himself rolls up with his beastman partner Matus. He immediately trolls Ryoma about his height, because of course he does. Before Matus formally introduces them, they all sit down to get the details on this ridiculous mission. Turns out, the request is from a government-sanctioned trading company, a favorite of some noble in the hero's faction. The job is to play bodyguard for their messenger. The hero then drops the first bombshell. The entire round trip is going to take a solid month. You can just see our hopeless hero's enthusiasm leaving his body. The hero then whips out a map, showing the proposed route, which cuts straight through the treacherous Baldur Mountains. He explains that while the roads are easy at first, the mountains are an absolute monster palooza, which is why they need an absolute unit like Ryoma on their team. He even dangles the possibility of finding a hidden map in there, trying to bait him with treasure and glory. But Ryoma's brain is actually working. He knows those mountains are home to valuable steel-eating gargoyles. But he also knows it's the dead of winter, and that place is about to get obliterated with snow. The hero just kind of shrugs it off, saying the merchants are just really insistent. Maida's chimes in, explaining that if these merchants miss their livery window, their business is screwed for years. The guilt trip is real, folks. For the final pitch, the hero offers double the usual pay plus a fat bonus for getting them home safely. He leans in with this super shady grin, asking if Ryoma is still hesitant. Our boy thinks it over for a hot second, and then delivers the most polite get lost in history, claiming he has other work to do and can't be away for a month. The hero dramatically faceplants on the table in defeat, only pop back up with a smirk, admitting he figured that would be the answer. Turns out Matus isn't going either. He's got his own gig, so the hero will just have to find some other poor sucker at the guild. He offers to buy Ryoma a beer for his trouble, but our guy keeps it wholesome and asks for juice instead. Meanwhile, across the country in the imperial capital, things are getting whaled. We see a massive, high-tech magic airship docked and ready for launch. A whole class of young cadets is boarding, all there to take the final exam for the Imperial Military Academy's special class. Among them is a familiar face, looking nervous but determined. Up on the bridge, the crew runs through their final pre-flight checks. The commander is handed the flight plan, and his eyes just about pop out of his skull. "Are you sure this is correct?" he demands, completely bewildered. His subordinate confirms it's legit. The director and even the magic tool craftsman have all signed off on this unhinged plan. It's the only place they can truly test the candidates, especially in winter. The commander reads the fine print. The location was kept top secret to ensure nobles and commoners competed on a level playing field. With a grim look of acceptance, he gives the final order. The ship's rotors roar to life, and the colossal vessel majestically lifts off into the snowy sky. The ship soars through the clouds. Its final destination revealed. The Baldur Mountains. That's right. The exact same chaotic, snow-blasted death trap boy just wisely turned down is now the final exam location for a bunch of teenagers. This, get messy. Alright, let's dive back into the chaos. Winter has hit, and our girl Lycia is looking out at the snow with a face that just screams, "I have a bad feeling about this." And you know what? It's probably right. We get a quick flashback to our boy Len, who's been grinding non-stop. He's been diligently training his sword skills, busting his butt every single day, and even getting props from the old guard for his hard work. This guy isn't just sitting around. He's earning his keep by shoveling snow off the entire freaking mansion roof and helping out with chores. It's not all action though. We even see a quiet moment with him and Lycia, diligently sorting through paperwork like the world's most adorable power couple. But the peace is shattered when a maid rolls in, with a mountain of official-looking scrolls. She reports that while the villages have enough supplies, the ridiculous amount of snow is causing some serious property damage. Clausel, the man in charge, confirms it's bad news. The snow is so heavy it's blocking roads and literally crushing old houses. The villages are screaming for backup. Without missing a beat, our main man asks if Clausel is sending knights out immediately. And before Clausel can even finish his thought, Len volunteers. He's like, "Oh, broken houses. I used to fix my dad's place all the time. Put me in, coach." This absolute unit just wants to contribute, whether it's fighting monsters on an epic expedition, or just patching up a roof for some villagers. Clausel just sighs, clearly impressed, and tells him to go for it. So, things seem to be under control. But just as the sun starts to set, the entire situation goes sideways. Of course it does. An emergency smoke signal flares up from the Baldur Mountains. Len's hero senses start tingling as he asks the obvious, "Does that mean people are in trouble?" "You bet your sweet magic sword it does." Clausel explains there's an old fortress up there that adventurers use for shelter, and that signal means someone's life is on the line. Then he pulls out a shady-looking letter, admitting he wasn't sure if he should even show it to Len. It's another nomination request. This one is for Lizard Maidus. And the one in trouble. It's that smirking, overconfident adventurer captain we met before. Yep. Lizard and his crew are the ones who are screwed. Len immediately gets it. That fortress is ancient. If they run out of supplies to stay warm, they're basically human popsicles. Clausel pulls the classic, "I told you so," mentioning he warned them not to go. But then our boy drops a bombshell. Lizard is an acquaintance of his, and it gets spicier. Apparently, Lizard told him this whole trip was backed by a merchant with ties to the hero's faction. Clausel's face drops. "Those guys again?" Clausel gets all stressed out, apologizing because he thought this some petty revenge plot from the hero's side for their last encounter. But there's no time for that. He's already decided to send knights out to help the villages, so they can swing by the fortress too. It's a calculated move. Not just to save the adventurers, but to keep the Clausel family name out of any more unhinged political drama. But our hopeless hero isn't about to sit this one out. He looks Clausel dead in the eye and says, "I'm going too. Lizard is my problem now." Clausel practically facepalms, saying he knew this was coming but hates having to rely on Len again. Len just shrugs it off, saying he wants to protect this place and the people in it. With his entire crew of friends backing him up, he's ready to roll out. Defeated, Clausel agrees. "Alright, I'm counting on you. But wait, there's a catch." Always a catch. Clausel lays down the law. You can go with the knights to the fortress, but you are forbidden from accepting this official request. His logic is solid. If Len goes as an adventurer, he's legally obligated to protect Lizard's crew through the treacherous mountain pass, a mission that's basically a death sentence in this weather. Our boy understands completely, thanking him for looking out for him. And just like that, the rescue party is assembled and heading out. Len says his goodbyes to his friends who are staying behind. Suddenly, Lycia comes bolting through the snow, calling his name. She tells him to hold out his hand, and a brilliant light erupts from her fingertip. She casts some seriously high-level sacred magic, wrapping his arm in pure, radiant energy. Our main man can feel the power coursing through him. Lycia explains it's just a temporary buff to keep him safe, a small way for her to help. Len is visibly moved, telling her that her support is all he needs to give it his all. Lycia admits she wanted to go with him, but her dad put his foot down. The unsuspecting lead just smiles and promises to do her share of the work for her. He then flexes the ornate dagger she gave him, calling it his lucky charm and promising there's nothing to worry about. They share a quiet, meaningful look. Then, Lycia gets serious. But in that case, make me a promise. She looks him right in the soul and says, you must never, and I mean never, push yourself too hard, okay? With that final heartfelt plea, she sends him off. Take care. Alright, let's dive right in. The mission. Get our boy and his crew to the Baldur Mountains. And when I say crew, I mean a whole-ass army convoy snaking its way through a frozen wasteland. This isn't your average road trip. This is a full-blown expedition with more carriages than a royal wedding. Leading the charge are some seriously seasoned adventurers, including a dude with wolf ears who looks like he's seen it all. And right there in the middle of these grizzled veterans is our main man, looking way too calm for a kid on a mission into hostile territory. This absolute unit is riding with the confidence of someone who knows the plot. The journey is a grind. Days turn into nights, and the crew sets up camp, sharing stories and food around a crackling fire. Even the local wildlife, some very confused three-eyed bunnies, are peeking out like, what is this noisy parade? The expedition presses on, crossing frozen rivers and trudging through endless snow. They eventually pass through a small, snowed-in village. Being the good guys, they don't just pass through. Our boy and the adventurers grab some shovels and help the villagers dig themselves out, because that's what heroes do. Even the protagonist has to do some manual labor now and then. After their good deed, it's back on the road. Another night, another campfire, with our hero catching some sleep while the others stand guard. He even takes a moment to bond with his horse, a true man of culture. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, they arrive. The Baldur Mountains loom over them, looking like a jagged crown of ice in despair. This guy takes one look at the epic view, and you can just tell he's thinking, here we go. The moment they step into the mountain range proper, the weather absolutely snaps. A ridiculous blizzard just materializes out of nowhere, hammering them with wind and snow. The storm is so unhinged it knocks our boy right off his feet. The wolf-eared adventurer shouts that the path is completely buried, even covering the trees. One of the knights suggests they could try melting the snow with magic, but that's a one-way ticket to getting obliterated by an avalanche. Realizing they're basically screwed for the night, the lead knight proposes they set up a base camp. It's a tough call, since they want to reach the fort ASAP. Pushing through this chaotic weather is pure suicide. Later, as a strange light flashes in the distance, our main man spots a smoke signal. The others are relieved, taking it as a sign that the group at the fort is still alive. But this guy isn't celebrating. He knows that group was packed with experienced adventurers. For them to be stuck and needing rescue, something is seriously, catastrophically wrong. The knights agree, realizing some unforeseen disaster must have struck them. To fight off the cold, they fire up a magic heater, a glowing orb of pure coziness. The group discusses strategy. This absolute unit, so they leave the luggage transport to the other adventurers and focus on being ready for monster attacks. Of course, the elf ladies immediately volunteer to be positioned near Mr. Hero, much to the annoyance of the older adventurer. You can't blame them for having good taste. The next leg of the journey is pure hell. They're dragging sleds up steep, snowy inclines, every step a battle against the mountain itself. At night, the camp is a small kit of light in a vast, frozen darkness. Then comes the rock climbing section, because of course there is. They have to scale an icy cliff face, rope together and pulling up their supplies. It's a team effort, with everyone lending a hand to make it to the top. After that ordeal, our boy takes a well-deserved break, sipping a hot drink while gazing at the terrifyingly beautiful landscape. But there's no rest for the wicked. The trek continues through waist-deep snow, a slow, grueling march. Everyone is pushing their limits, their breath turning to frost in the air. Each step is a struggle, and then they see it. A massive, swaying suspension bridge stretching across a canyon of certain death. It looks like it was built with toothpicks and pure spite. One of the knights casually mentions there's a dormant volcano underneath the canyon. Our hero, completely unfazed, just thinks to himself, yeah, I know. Read it in the light novel. The ultimate flex. After crossing the bridge from hell, they continue their march. But suddenly, the wolf-eared adventurer freezes. Wait, he says, his face a mask of dawning horror. The entire party halts, sensing the sudden tension. His voice is barely a whisper, filled with dread. It's a monster. His eyes are wide with sheer panic. And in the distance, the terrible truth is revealed. For their destination is completely swarmed by a plague of flying monsters. It's not a rescue mission anymore. It's a suicide run. Alright, let's dive right back at the chaos. We open on a squad of adventurers who are clearly very bad day. They're staring down a literal tidal wave of yeti gorillas and flying monstrosities. The local wolf boy sums up the situation with tactical genius. There's so many of them, no kidding, dude. Their brilliant plan: run for the fortress. Unfortunately, that fortress has the structural integrity of a wet paper bag. and it promptly explodes, yeeting its defenders into the sky. Just as all hope seems lost, unexpected backup arrives on the scene, and this ain't your average rescue party. It's a bunch of kids who immediately start flexing some absolutely ridiculous magic. They launch a volley of fireballs that just obliterates the monster front line. Meanwhile, the fortress continues to spectacularly fail at its one job. And would you look at that? Our main man is in the house, casually casting a spell that rips the ground itself apart to stop the monster stampede in its tracks. The original adventurers are completely baffled. These kids are slinging high-level magic like it's nothing, and they're definitely not on the guild roster. The squad leader, Sir Unicorn Shield, makes the smart call. Figure it out later. Rescue people now. The battlefield is pure, unhinged chaos. The other kids with our boy are just as confused, wondering who these new arrivals are. But Wolf Boy knows a good thing when he sees it, and tells everyone to just roll with the punches. Our boy is already deep in the fray, stabbing a monster while having a full-blown existential crisis. He's thinking, why are literal children fighting for their lives right now? He's watching these other kids move with flawless skill, no magic needed, and his mind is completely blown. This guy is seriously starting to question his reality. The monster horde doesn't care about his inner monologue though. They start smashing the castle walls with giant hammers. One of the girls from our hero's squad zips through the air, slicing up flying lizards like she's dicing vegetables. But then we meet ATR. This girl starts conjuring an insane number of snowflake ice daggers that surround her. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and unleashes hell's own personal blizzard. Her ice blades absolutely shred through the monster ranks, turning the entire battlefield into a beautiful, chaotic meat grinder. One absolute unit of a tiger yeti roars, completely unimpressed. Big mistake. It immediately gets our protagonist jumping on its back for a critical hit. The ice girl provides some epic fire support, yeeting a few ice stars right into the beast's face. Our boy gives her a look of pure, steely determination, and she looks back, completely stunned by his swordsmanship. A moment of mutual respect in the middle of a war zone. They instantly sync up, fighting back to back, just dismantling everything that comes near them. An unstoppable duo is born right before our eyes. The girl is in shock, stammering, "Why you are?" And our main man, cool as a cucumber, just says, "I'm part of the group that's come to rescue everyone." Then he immediately turns and obliterates the monster he was talking over. The absolute disrespect. Inspired by his flex, the ice girl goes full power, unleashing a ridiculous area of effect attack. Her ice blades multiply into a storm of sharp, pointy death, carpeting the entire area and turning every last monster into an ice sculpture. This guy is blown away, thinking her magic is amazing, and she's having the exact same thought about him. His swordsmanship is something else. They stand together, the new power couple on the block, ready for whatever's next. Turns out, there's nothing left. As the sun rises, the battle is finally over. The ground is littered with frozen monster corpses and shattered ice. The adventurers can finally breathe. Our hero immediately checks on his new partner. "Are you okay?" She admits it was her first time fighting so many monsters at once. The second she realized they'd won, all the strength just left her body. He offers her a hand up, ever the gentleman. She's blushing and flustered but accepts his help. He tells her not to worry about it, playing it cool. But then his gamer brain kicks in. He spots her necklace and instantly recognizes it as the exorcism necklace, a certified trash tier item. Something shady is going on here. The wolf leader approaches, relieved that the kids are okay. He heard our boy was acting as their leader, and now he wants answers. Why are a bunch of teenagers camping out in a death trap? That is thick. But before she has to answer, the girl masterfully flips the script. "Before I say anything, you people are from the Clausel family, right?" Sir Unicorn Shield confirms it. They're the official rescue party sent by the head. This is a massive relief for her. Apologizes for being cagey and asks for his name. And then comes the bombshell. She stands tall, takes a breath, and drops her true identity. "My name is Fiona." "Oh, but it gets better. I am Ulysses Ignarts, the Lord of Ubeheim's only daughter." Mic drop. She's not just some rando, she's actual, bona fide royalty. And our unsuspecting lead? His brain just completely short-circuited. The look of pure shock on his face as he realizes he just saved a VIP is absolutely priceless. Alright, let's dive right back into the chaos. We get a quick glimpse into the past where a young lady introduces herself as Fiona, the one and only daughter of some big shot lord. Keep that name in your back pocket, folks. It's gonna be important. Flash forward to the present and our boy is standing in a frozen wasteland, face to face, that very same girl. Suddenly, a new crew rolls up, led by a dude with some serious catboy energy. He introduces himself as Matus, the leader of a rescue squad for stranded adventurers. They've all holed up in a random fort, in the middle of nowhere, and Fiona explains that her group are all examinees who've been stuck here for days. Matus's jaw practically hits the floor. He realizes this desolate ice block is the final examination venue for the Imperial Military Academy's special class. We're not dealing with your average rookies here. Our main man looks on, just trying to process the absolute mess he's walked into. Matas admits he was half convinced they were a bunch of lost nobles, which, let's be real, isn't far off. He gets all flustered, realizing he's been rude to the future elites of the nation, and his buddy in the back just cackles at his expense. When Matas tells his crew to introduce themselves, they're like, no, we're good. Apparently, getting tangled up with nobles is a recipe for disaster, even if it might come with a fat paycheck. They've learned the hard way that high society means high-stakes drama. The dude with the scales steps in to play diplomat. He lays out a simple deal. His team will guide the students down the mountain and ensure their safety. All they ask in return is to not get dragged into whatever political nonsense these kids are a part of. Fiona, seeing no better option, agrees to the terms. Let's do it. But our boy, ever the strategist, starts poking holes in the story. He asks Matas if a special-ass exam would really leave them this unprepared for a blizzard. Matas confirms these kids are the best of the best. They should have been ready. Fiona looks on, knowing he's right. She explains that the situation went sideways over a week ago. Not only that, but monsters have been popping up in ridiculous numbers, completely draining their stamina. The adventurers immediately get suspicious, suggesting the monsters might be specifically targeting the examinees. This absolute unit stays quiet, but you get the gears turning in his head. His internal monologue kicks into overdrive. This whole setup is shady. A final exam should have proctors watching over them, but there's no one. It shouldn't be this impossible. The blizzard is so unhinged that even pro-adventurers are getting stranded. The scaled adventurer notices our boy's sharp gaze and confirms his suspicions. So you've noticed, this situation isn't normal. Turns out, some of these students are nobles from other countries. If they get offed, it could trigger an international incident. So yeah, the adventurers are being rude because they'd rather be rude than dead. Fiona then drops another bomb. The adventurer comrades they were looking for? Yeah, they're inside the fort. The rescue team's faces drop. This is not good. They push open the doors to what looks like a makeshift infirmary. Every bed is filled with an adventurer, completely knocked out. These guys are struggling to breathe, pale as ghosts. Matas bolts to his friend's side, screaming his name. Kai! Get a hold of yourself. But there's no response. The students have no clue what happened. One minute the adventurers were fine, the next they were completely incapacitated. A blonde student steps forward, explaining they traveled here after seeing the smoke signal the examinees were sending. This kid, apparently the group's medic, says the magic power inside the adventurers' bodies has swollen abnormally. He diagnoses it as a vessel fracture, a terrifying condition where incompatible magic eats you from the inside out. The name alone sends a chill down our hero's spine. The medic explains it's usually an illness that affects children with immense, unstable magic. But the weird part? The symptoms are already calming down. Unlike a typical case, these guys will probably recover on their own with some rest. With that slightly less grim news, they decide to scout the area and plan their escape. Fiona watches the medic, silently thinking about how she's once again relying on the Clausel family's power. As the tension eases slightly, two of the female adventurers decide it's the perfect time to shoot their shot with our unsuspecting lead. Leaning in, they whisper, "We can just leave this to the men, so why don't we go choose a room together?" And our boy's reaction? Absolutely nothing. He just gives them the coldest, most deadpan shutdown imaginable. Please don't such strange things when we're in this situation. The sheer ice in his voice leaves them speechless. Ouch. A moment later, Fiona approaches him, looking a little flustered. Our hopeless hero gives her a look. Like, what now? She stammers, trying to explain that she wasn't suggesting a three-way, she was just watching. Yeah, watching him get hit on. Sewer. He just goes with it, and she's relieved. Their awkward little moment is interrupted when another student pulls Fiona, or Lady Ignart, aside for a private chat. Fiona excuses herself, leaving this guy standing alone again. But before she leaves completely, she turns back. "I just wanted to give you my gratitude for helping me out earlier," she says with a radiant smile. Our boy is a little bewildered, assuming she thinks he's just some random adventurer because of his clothes, but he smiles back. And in that moment, he realizes he completely missed his chance to properly introduce himself. Classic. Alright, let's this show on the road. We open on a ridiculously grim-looking castle, getting absolutely buried in snow. The whole vibe just screams, bad things are happening here, as the fortress shudders under the blizzard's assault. Inside, the stranded examinees are trying to figure out what to do next, while some of the knights are hauling supplies like they're on a medieval grocery run. The main squad is chowing down, and the topic of conversation is, of course, their current chaotic predicament. The examinees are too proud to accept help, thinking it's against the rules. One of the knights points out the obvious flaw in this whole setup. Shouldn't an exam venue be, sealed from outsiders so this kind of thing doesn't happen? Our boy Ren, who's been quietly listening, drops a truth bomb. He points out that not only was it not sealed, but the adventurers were already here before the exam even started. The gears in his head are turning, and he smells a conspiracy a mile away. One of the knights catches on, asking if Ren thinks a third party is involved. The speculation begins. Could it be the royal family pulling some shady strings? Nah, the head knight shuts that down fast. Picking a fight with the powerful Marquis Ignart would be a political nightmare nobody wants. Then, another spicy detail gets added to the pot. The headmaster of the academy conveniently skipped town right before all this chaos went down. Suspicious. Absolutely. The knights decide they can't wait around for these students to get their act together. They're gonna forcibly escort anyone who can't fight down the mountain, especially since some are seriously injured. Our main man asks how the wounded are being treated, and they mention Lady Ignart has some kind of special healing skill. Ren looks intrigued, filing that info away for later. The knights are a bit surprised to see Ren hanging out with Lady Ignart, the very girl he saved. This guy reflects that he never really got a chance to introduce himself to the person who literally saved his life. He's still trying to figure her out, thinking she seems like an adventurer, but the knights remind him of their pact to not interfere with each other's business. Probably for the best, they figure. Our hopeless hero agrees, deciding to let it lie for now. Later, after trudging down a dark, torch-lit hallway, Ren sits down in his room for a moment of peace. He out a magic lantern Lycia gave him, wondering how the heck to turn it on, and, what do you know? She left him an instruction manual. He finds a little switch on top, gives it a tap, and bam, instant light. But wait, there's more. Holding the note up to the new light, our unsuspecting lead sees a hidden message appear. It was written with some kind of invisible ink. It's a message from Lycia, and it's so sweet it could give you a cavity. If you take too long coming home, I'll go there myself to pick you up, okay? Ren just smiles, his heart clearly melting. Roger that. Meanwhile, back at the estate, Lycia is staring out at the same snowy, star-filled sky, her thoughts clearly on our boy. Her maid warns her she'll catch a cold, but Lycia says the cool air feels great. The maid, being sharp as a tack, asks if she's worried about Ren. Lycia admits she is, but not like everyone else. With a look of absolute, unshakable faith, she declares, I'm the one who knows best about how strong Ren truly is. Mic drop. The maid just smiles, understanding completely. Inside, however, Lycia's cool composure completely evaporates. A dress is laid out on her bed, and she gets instantly flustered, insisting it means nothing, but the maid remembers that's the dress Ren gave her. She sees right through Lycia's act, realizing her lady was just feeling lonely. Caught red-handed, Lycia clutches the dress and blushes, begging her maid to keep it a secret. The maid gives a knowing, warm smile. Yes, back on the frozen mountain, the adventurers are heading down with the injured. The plan is to split up. The bee-skin guy will go with the knights to get reinforcements, while the others stay behind to guard the rest of the examinees. Our main man gives a silent nod as they depart, watching the small group trudge through the endless white. Suddenly, the ground explodes, and a monster boar the size of a minivan erupts from the snow, ready to turn them all into pancakes. But before anyone can even scream, this absolute unit Ren moves like a flash of lightning. One clean slice, and the behemoth just thumps over, completely obliterated. The knights are just standing there, jaws on the floor. Amazing work, one of them stammers. With this, we'd have enough food to last a month. Ren just casually solved their entire logistics problem in under 5 seconds. What a flex. After a much-needed shower, Ren steps out into the hallway, feeling refreshed, and collides with Lady Ignart. It's the classic awkward hallway encounter. She yelps, apologizing profusely, while our boy tells her it's fine. They both just stand there, stuttering awkwardly. Then, she gathers her courage and drops the question she's been dying to ask. My savior is in Clausel, you see, and I heard that you were from there. I just wanted to ask if you've met him. Our hero is just bewildered. Eh? The sheer irony is painful. She explains that the knights were too busy, and she feels her savior is about her age, all while looking directly at the guy she's talking about. Ren is completely silent, his brain probably short-circuiting. Realizing she's breaking their promise not to interfere, she panics and starts apologizing all over again. Our guy, ever the gentleman, says he doesn't mind. But the moment is lost. Down, completely dejected. She was so close, but once again she couldn't tell him the truth. Now we're sorted. Alright, let's dive in. We open on a brutal, snowy landscape, the kind of place you'd only visit if you lost a bet. But inside a fortress, someone is sleeping peacefully, completely unaware of the blizzard trying to tear the world apart. Suddenly we're in a dream. It's a memory, warm and sunny, a total contrast to the icy reality. A girl is walking alongside a boy on a beautiful day. She comments on the heat, and our main man just smoothly agrees. He gives her gentle smile, the kind that makes her want to just stop and enjoy the moment forever. And just like that, her eyes snap open. She sits up, completely bewildered. Her brain is doing backflips, trying to figure out why in the world she was just dreaming about Mr. Adventurer's face. Outside her window, the snow continues to fall on the cold, stone walls of the fort. We see a quick montage of life here. Fetching water from a deep well, sharing a meal with other survivors, and tending to the sick. It's a tough existence, but they're making it work. Up on the ramparts, a lone figure stands guard. It's our boy Len. His shift is finally over. This guy decides he wants something warm to drink before hitting the hay, a totally reasonable plan in this frozen wasteland. He heads down to the kitchen, pushes open the door, and immediately freezes. Standing right there is the girl from his escort mission. The awkward energy in this room is thick enough to cut with a knife. He manages a good evening, and she just about jumps out of her skin, stammering one back. They both immediately look away, blushing like crazy. Her mind is racing. It's him, the guy from her dream. Our unsuspecting lead, completely oblivious, just asks if something's wrong. She panics and pulls out the world's most unconvincing, "It's nothing," with a smile that's screaming, "I'm freaking out." She explains she was just making some tea, and this absolute unit, without missing a beat, basically invites himself. "I'll gladly partake as well." "Smooth, my dude. Very smooth." So, they get the water boiling. Standing in an awkward silence that is lewder than any conversation, she reaches up to a shelf to grab some tea leaves, thinking there are more options than she expected. But just as she goes for a jar, our boy reaches for the exact same one at the exact same time. Their hands touch. It's the oldest trick in the rom-com book, and it is working flawlessly. She looks at him, completely flustered, her heart probably doing the Macarena. She yanks her hand back, apologizing profusely, but he just plays it cool, holding the jar and asking if she'd like to try this one. He then proceeds to brew the tea with the focus of a bomb disposal expert. He strains the leaves perfectly, and they sit down by the fire to enjoy their late-night beverage. She takes a sip, and her eyes go wide. "It's delicious," she exclaims, genuinely shocked. She admits she didn't think he'd be this much better at it than her. She explains that she used to be super frail, and her maid taught her a few things, but let's be honest, she was also a tad clumsy. She continues, saying that making tea was part of her recovery, a way to get her body moving, but no matter how many times she tried, she just couldn't make it taste good. Our boy smiles, telling her that making tea is a complicated art, and then he says it. The one thing that changes everything. He mentions that the medicine she received is more effective when taken as tea. So monster materials really have to be used differently when taken as medicine. He muses, she nods, saying it seems so, and that making it into tea helps with the bitterness. They share a quiet, comfortable moment by the fire. It's peaceful, it's sweet, and then the record scratches in her brain. She's just chilling, enjoying the moment, when his words finally hit her. Wait. Her eyes go wide in pure shock. I never once told him that the medicine was made of monster materials, did I? A flash of memory hits her. The corpse of the exact monster whose parts are used in her cure. Before she can process this bombshell, a gops up out of nowhere, telling Lady Ignart it's late and she should get to bed. She stammers an okay, her mind completely reeling from the revelation. She walks away, lost in thought. I can't just think of it as a mere coincidence. Could that Mr. Adventurer really be? The guard notices her distress, but she turns back, her expression now dead serious. May I ask you just one question? All right. Let's dive right in. The world is frozen over, and a fierce blizzard is absolutely hammering the landscape. A lone group of warriors trudges through the unforgiving snow, clearly on their last legs. Their destination: a grim-looking fortress perched on the edge of the world. Just as things look hopeless, the fortress gates open, and a familiar face pops out. It's party, and they've brought the cavalry. They announce that the merchants are all patched up, which means it's finally time to get the hell off this frozen rock. Our boy immediately scans the crowd, looking for one person in particular. "Excuse me," he asks, "but where is Matus?" The answer he gets is less than ideal. The Foxman just shrugs and says Matus straight up vanished, left a message and peaced out. The note apparently said Kai wasn't recovering properly, which is the flimsiest excuse in the book for ditching your student. The rest of the crew is rightfully ticked off, calling it a ridiculously irresponsible move. I mean, come on, the guy just signs up to help and then ghosts them at the first opportunity. Shady with a capital S, but not everyone is a flake. The Beastman duo steps forward, declaring that since our main man saved their kids, they're with him till the end. A little loyalty goes a long way, folks. Forward to the next morning. Our unsuspecting lead is up and ready to go, lantern in hand. Outside the fortress walls, The entire group has assembled for the big descent. The lizardman dude lays down the law. Examinees need to travel light. Ditch the heavy gear or give it to an adult. As everyone prepares, our hero gets a weird feeling. He tells the guy next to him that he felt a strange, lukewarm wind blow past, which is not normal in a blizzard. The group starts their march, a long, winding column of people against a sea of white. But as they walk, a sense of dread starts to creep in. They've been on this path for a while now, and there hasn't been a single examiner in sight. That's not weird, it's a massive red flag. And then they see it. Spanning a chasm so deep you can't see the bottom is a massive, rickety hanging bridge. This thing looks like it was built with toothpicks and wishful thinking, swaying violently in the wind. Everyone's soul collectively leaves their body. The lizardman, ever the professional, tells the kids to hold on tight when they cross. But of course, there's always one guy. The cocky blonde examinee scoffs. There's no need. Just who do you think we are? He flexes hard, puffing his chest out. A hanging bridge isn't enough to scare the famous and prestigious special class examinees. He then proceeds to take exactly one step onto the bridge and immediately gets a one-way ticket to the void. His life flashes before his eyes as he stares into the abyss. The lizardman just casually strolls over, points, and says here, as if the bridge wasn't actively trying to yeet this kid into oblivion. The blonde dude, now pale as a ghost, admits he doesn't know if he can do it. Buddy, we know you can't do it. Seeing this absolute disaster, the other adventurers decide to take the lead and guide the kids across. As most of the group makes it to the other side, our boy and Maria are left. His friend suggests he ask the knight to help him, but this guy has other plans. He turns to Maria and nervously asks if she would, cross with him. She gets adorable little blush and asks if he's sure. But then she smiles, admitting she was actually planning on asking him from the start. Smooth. So, the two of them start their perilous journey across the bridge, hand in hand. Our hero notices she's a little shaken. She apologizes, saying she was more scared than she expected. But then she looks at him and says she's all right, because he's there to protect her. She reveals that for her whole life, she was so sick she never knew if she'd wake up the next day, compared to that constant fear. A rickety bridge is nothing. Our main man just smiles, in that case good. But as the wholesome moment concludes, that weird feeling is back. That lukewarm wind returns, but it's stronger this time. Suddenly, the bridge lurches violently. A blast of hot air shoots up from below. He wasn't imagining things. Something is definitely happening. Below them, the air begins to swirl, forming a dark, ominous vortex in the middle of the chasm. Panic snaps our hero back to reality. He grabs Maria and screams the only two words that matter right now. Run. Something is coming from below us. The others on the far side look back, completely bewildered. And then it happens. A blinding light erupts from the vortex, followed by a massive pillar of swirling fire. A literal fire tornado roars to life, engulfing the chasm in an unholy inferno. The sheer scale of it is insane, threatening to incinerate the entire bridge. All anyone can do is stare in pure, unadulterated shock. Is this art? Alright, strap in, because the final exam just went from hard to apocalypse-level difficulty. Our heroes are crossing a rickety bridge over a massive chasm when suddenly, boom, a ridiculous wall of fire erupts out of nowhere, and a swirling vortex of pure incineration barrels right towards them. The other adventurers absolutely lose their minds, screaming to leg it across the bridge. It's pure chaos. One guy is yelling what's happening, and his buddy basically screams back, "Gubbarucho cares, just run." Our boy and Lady Ignart are caught right in the middle of this unhinged stampede, but before they can even process the fire, a second, icy tornado blasts them from the other side. Lady Ignart snaps into action, shouting "freeze over," and throwing up her hand to cast a spell. A wall of ice materializes, but the vortex obliterates it like it's made of sugar glass. With shards of ice flying everywhere, our main man immediately shields her with his own body. Now they're trapped. A fire tornado on one side, an ice tornado on the other, and both are closing in fast. The flames begin to coil around Lady Ignart like fiery snakes, while the bridge itself is getting torn to absolute shreds. This absolute unit is completely bewildered, wondering what kind of fire this is. It's moving with purpose. Almost. It's alive. And then it clicks. His soul leaves his body as he realizes the horrifying they're aiming for her. As a shadowy figure watches from above, the bridge finally gives way. Lady Ignart loses her footing and is sent tumbling into the fiery abyss. But our hopeless hero, he doesn't even hesitate. He bolts forward, launching himself off the crumbling ledge in a move that would make any action hero proud. He's literally flying through the air toward her. She looks up, her face a mask of pure terror. This guy just screams, "Laddie Ignart. Give me your hand." The two elemental vortexes are seconds from crashing into them. This is it. Game over. Psyche. Our boy activates his ultimate clutch skill. Demon Sword of Shields. A lattice of pure energy forms a perfect sphere around them just in the nick of time. Then, holding her close, he drops the coldest line of the century. "I promise I will return you home safely." The fire and ice slam into their tiny shield with the force of a nuke. Lady Ignart even throws in a little freeze for extra support. The resulting explosion is catastrophic. The entire bridge is vaporized, sending a massive shockwave echoing through the mountains. The whole chasm is just gone in a flash of light. Meanwhile, other adventurers are yeeted through the air. The blonde swordsman and his partner just barely manage to snag a dangling rope. He's holding on for dear life, screaming at her not to let go no matter what. The team on the cliffside scrambles to pull them up, but the bad news just keeps coming. Not only is the chasm now a raging torrent of death, but the lizardman looks over and shouts the one word nobody wanted to hear. Lava. Yep. The entire mountain has decided to erupt. It's a full-on natural disaster buffet. The last remnants of the bridge hang uselessly in the smoke. But what about our heroes? We cut back to find them dangling peacefully from a single vine, which has conveniently sprouted from the hilt of our boy's sword. He's got her held close, and she is blushing hard. He just looks down, cool as a cucumber, and asks, "Are you alright?" All she can do is nod. What a freaking legend. Alright, let's dive right back into the chaos. The volcano has officially decided to redecorate the entire mountain range in a lovely shade of molten rock. Our heroes have found temporary shelter in a snowy fortress, but safe is definitely not on the menu today. Up on the tower, our main man and Lady Ignart are taking in the apocalyptic view. She's feeling super guilty, apologizing for getting them into this mess. But our boy, ever the cool-headed professional, shuts that down immediately. It's not her fault. They're just separated and need to figure out a new plan. He reassures her that the lava is following a predictable path, so their old route should technically be safe-ish. However, safe-ish isn't good enough. This absolute unit knows they can't just sit around waiting for a rescue that might never come, especially with the ground itself trying to cook them. He whips out a map, going full-on strategist mode. He's already got a new route planned out. The closest safe zone is the former Viscount Given's territory, but it's a longer, more treacherous path. This immediately raises some questions. Lady Ignart points out that since Given's vanished, his land has been under the royal family's care. Our boy looks troubled. The royal family, huh? She asks if this whole disaster could be the result of some shady noble infighting. He doesn't dismiss it, saying it's a precaution. Too many weird things have been happening for it to be a coincidence. Lady Ignart presses the point, saying the examinees were all high-ranking nobles or members of the hero faction. Messing with them would be a ridiculously bold move. This gets our hero's gears turning. If it's not the nobles, then who? An outside force? And then he lands on the most classic villain motivation of all time. A cult trying to revive the Demon King. Man, those guys are always causing trouble. But there's no time to brainstorm conspiracy theories. With the lava providing some seriously ominous mood lighting, they need to get moving. Lady Ignart agrees and turns to grab her things. But suddenly, she freezes. The world around her seems to shatter as she clutches her lantern. A wave of something washes over her. Our boy notices her pause and asks if everything's okay. She quickly plasters on a smile, brushing it off as nothing. He's not entirely convinced, but they've got bigger fish or rather volcanoes to fry, and so begins the ultimate hiking trip from hell. They trek down the snowy slopes, the angry volcano a constant, smoky reminder of their predicament. The journey is brutal, a relentless march through the freezing cold. They set up a quick camp under a sky full of stars, a brief moment of peace in the chaos. They walk along the edge of a swirling, frozen abyss. Later, Lady Ignart sleeps soundly in the tent, while our main man keeps watch, his breath fogging in the frigid air. The next day involves some seriously sketchy rock climbing, followed by a blizzard that threatens to bury them completely. Finally, a new day dawns. Lady Ignart emerges from the tent, looking a little dazed. Our hopeless hero has already got a fire going and breakfast cooking, ever the prepared adventurer. She apologizes for waking up late, a little embarrassed, and without missing a beat, this guy just deadpans. Bedhead. He offers her some food, and she thanks him, still flustered. He watches her, noticing a single, defiant strand of hair bouncing on her head. He thinks about pointing it out but wisely decides that would just make things more awkward. That little ahoge is just vibing. As she eats, completely unaware, he just sips his own soup. The stray hair continues its little dance. He finishes first, and gets up to pack. But as he's rolling up his gear, a familiar little bounce catches his eye. A stray hair on his Oyun head is doing the exact same thing. His brain connects the dots. I had it too. The silent realization of shared dorkiness hits him. Lady Ignart overhears him, confused. You had it too. She pulls out a mirror, and her soul leaves her body as she confirms the chaotic state of her own hair. Our boy just gives a little, knowing smile. Later by the fire, she apologizes for falling asleep during her watch. She feels bad, so she offers to join him tonight. He tries to wave it off as his job, but she insists. She then offers him a cup of tea, explaining that her old servants used to give her bitter smiles after drinking it. Uh-oh, red flag. He takes a sip, and bam. His taste buds are obliterated by a bitterness so profound it could probably kill a lesser man. It is, without a doubt, the worst thing he has ever tasted. But does this absolute unit spit it out? No. He looks her dead in the eye, with the straightest face he can manage, says, "It's delicious." She immediately calls his bluff, pointing out that his eyebrow is twitching like crazy. The man is a hero, but he's a terrible liar. As they sit there, he comments on how strong she's been through all this, not even showing a hint of fear back on the burning bridge. She just, small sad smile. Then, she drops a bombshell. She asks if he remembers the vessel fracture disease from the fortress. The one where a person's body can't handle its own magic and just wears out. Her eyes are filled with a painful memory. "I was afflicted with vessel fracture." His widen in shock. She explains her case was so severe that doctors, herbalists, and even magic tool craftsmen had all declared it impossible to cure. Suddenly it clicks. That necklace she's always wearing. She confirms it's an exorcism necklace, a rare artifact that suppresses magic power. She's been using it just to alleviate the constant strain on her body. She tells him about her past, a life confined to a bed, weak and frail, being fed by maids, unable to even sit up on her own. Her entire world was just shelves of books and medicine she could only use on her good days. A small, little world. She says if the her from a year ago saw herself now, climbing a mountain, she'd think it was a dream. But one day everything changed. Her father and the servants suddenly became cold and distant. They wouldn't even look her in the eye. She thought it was because the doctor had told them she didn't have much time left, but the truth was far different. They had secretly given her a new, experimental medicine the night before. Her father kept it a secret because he couldn't bear to see her heartbroken if it failed. And that medicine? It was made from the chief wolf, the very one our boy hunted down. While she was sick, her entire household maids, butlers, her father was desperately, silently praying for a miracle. In her bed, she waited for the end. She stared at the ceiling, expecting another day of pain. One morning, she woke up, and for the first time in forever, her body was completely devoid of any pain. She tried to stand, her legs weak from disuse, and immediately tumbled to the floor. She hit her head, getting a bump on her forehead, but that was it. Just a normal bump. The agonizing, soul-crushing pain was gone. All she could do was crawl pathetically on the carpet, looking at the morning light streaming through the window. And for the first time, not from pain, but from pure, unadulterated joy, she began to cry tears of happiness.